What's the greatest spiritual teacher? It's not the guy in the robes. It's the person that annoys you. It's that asshole in traffic. It's not what our minds have been conditioned to believe. I come from a highly controlled environment, control systems, and a lot of darkness, a lot of shadow. And I didn't know that that's what I was existing in, but I know that it didn't feel really good. If there's one thing I've learned through all of the pain that I've experienced, but I think we can evolve through love just as easily as we can through pain, and we can make that choice to bring love into every experience. If it's not rooted in truth and love, it can't exist in the new frequency that's emerging really rapidly, because so many of us are looking inward now and turning over those stones and looking at the dark parts of ourselves. The more radical responsibility I take for myself, the more freedom I tend to experience. I can't stop biometric screenings. I can't stop digital IDs, but I can choose how I interact with them. I can choose how I move through the system and be in it but not of it. You know, what is death, really? And maybe it's the biggest lie we've been sold. My womb is this source of infinite wisdom. It's a direct line to God. There's a portal to another dimension in between my legs. That's insane. That's crazy. So it's like,
Alright everyone, welcome back to the Spirit Unfolding podcast, where we explore reality and consciousness, and we learn what it takes to get more aligned with our true selves and what we can do to be more of service to the love and beauty in the world. And before we meet our guest of today, I want to ask you, if you like the podcast, if you enjoy it, please subscribe, comment on what your thoughts are. So this helps us a lot to reach bigger guests, reach a bigger audience, and in the end be of a bigger contribution to the expression of love in the world. That's really it. And I'm so excited about today because I've been waiting for this for a while. My guest today carries something quite special, I think. She really helps others to see things differently and to, she's sharing her wisdom, her stories, her knowledge, that helps you shift your perspective on how you look at life, how you look at your place in the universe. And yeah, she's really good at pattern recognition. But for sure we can dive into that. And she lives life from this state of curiosity and play that I think is so beautiful. And I'm really excited you're here, Erin. So Erin Gunzelman,
yes.
welcome.
Thank you so much. I didn't expect that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honored to be here. Really thrilled.
Yeah, honored to have you.
Thanks.
It's been really fun to follow you from a distance in the past couple of years. And
yeah, it's so special to connect this way in person. It feels so special. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, one of the things, or one of the threads throughout all your work is helping people see reality in a different way, or for what it truly is, what we think it truly is. Maybe also as an introduction of who you are to people that don't know you yet, can you paint a picture of where you're coming from and how the way you look at reality has changed over the years?
Yeah, that is a great segue, I think, into both of those aspects. I think so many ways to answer it. I wish I had a canned response, and I think that maybe is part of the larger picture. We want to plan, we want to know what's going to happen next, but I don't live that way. I never have, and it has changed. Who I am, I guess, has changed on the surface quite a bit throughout my life. I come from, I guess the best way to say it is a highly controlled environment, control systems, and a lot of darkness, a lot of shadow. And I didn't know that that's what I was existing in, but I know that it didn't feel really good. But the way that, or how I've evolved through it, I guess, is holding very tightly to dreams and illusions, really. And I think illusions are an initiation into what is possible. They're directional. And the whole journey in hindsight that I have that's brought me to this moment has helped me continue to ask why and stay very curious about reality and what I'm experiencing in reality and what is reality. and what are we doing here? I remember asking those questions at a very, very young age, small, and being told that if I continued to ask them, I would end up in an insane asylum and loony bin. Like, stop, you can't keep asking these questions, right? And I think that that's sort of a metaphor for the larger echo of that fractal pattern of reality. It's don't think too big, don't dream too big, don't, stay small, or believe that, and so that's then what you build. But the more I lean in, the more I see that that's kind of a lie, and we're much bigger than we were told, and there's a lot more that's possible. And yeah, I think so that's why now I live completely intuitively, and I teach people about consciousness, I guess, by hopefully just embodying my truth. And my hope is to inspire others to do that also. Because I think that that's how we're going to get ultimately to where we want to go, the greater scheme. Yeah. Does that answer your question? That wasn't really what I was planning on saying.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and you talked about like intuitive living.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What's that look like?
Yeah, what does that look like? It's funny, on the ride here, and kind of what we were just discussing before we started recording, I thought of this moment actually as a really good example of that, because I have 1 week left on my visa in Egypt, and I don't know where I'm going next. I don't have a home base. I haven't for a very, very long time. And that wasn't necessarily by choice or intentional until 5 or 6 years ago that I intentionally decided to just kind of move with reality and experience it for what it is. Like, I really wanted to see the raw mechanics of human consciousness, not just this like performative spirituality thing, but not knowing what's next is sort of how I've developed this skill to be intuitive. It's not just like a party trick. It's not just like this cool like illusion. It's not a fairyland. It's architecture, I think. And so I've got a week left, and nothing about that scares me. I tell people, and they have these like, they're like, well, you don't know where you're going to go. Like, sometimes I don't know where I'm going to go next until I'm standing in the airport and I'm like looking at the flights. I'm like, oh yes, that's what, like, really. Or if there's a $0 in my bank account or a much higher number, like, nothing about it stresses me anymore, because all of that has happened and I have survived. But I basically feel into the energy. So that's kind of the larger message. It's like everything is energy before it is physical form. And I follow resonance. I choose based on resonance. I don't try and control or plan. And so I get quiet and I start to imagine myself in different locations, like, should I go back to the United States for a visit? No, that feels like very tense in my body when I think of that in this moment. It doesn't always feel that way, but most of the time it does. Should I go to somewhere in Africa and go on a safari? No, I mean, that sounds very fun, but I've just been in Egypt for 3 weeks and it's a lot on my nervous system. And then I imagined myself, on the back of a guy's scooter in Bali and drinking a smoothie and getting dropped off at the beach and working in the cafe. And I thought, okay, that feels pretty good right now. I've got a big project I'm working on. And yeah, I'd have to, move these interviews around, and I've got to do that differently, but it could happen. I'm not excited about the 15-hour flight, but maybe that's, and I'm saying all of that just because it's not always like what I want is what feels in alignment. It's usually just the resonance that makes sense to me. And so I might not end up in Bali, but I know, because I understand how the energy works now, that what I'm really craving is softness and rest. And so it might not look like being in Bali in a villa with a pool or things like that. It might look very different. Again, it's that illusion versus reality, and using intuition as the architecture for creating in the physical. Hopefully that makes sense. Sounds okay.
Yeah.
But that's really what I've been up to the last 6 years. I've been calling it like a recon mission, because I used to work in the intelligence community. I was working for the US government. Again, coming from those control systems, it was very much aligned with what I thought would make a big impact in the world and help people. It's really all I wanted was to, get the bad guys, and it was very disenchanting almost immediately as soon as I got into that environment. And now it's morphed into recognizing the patterns of my own beliefs and my own thoughts and the energies and the energetic undercurrent of what is really occurring on the surface. And it's making me think a lot about Egypt, where we currently are. Just beautiful space, and how Egypt doesn't let us, or it just reveals everything. It makes me feel like I can see through everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if does that resonate for you too?
Yeah.
It's like the contradiction is just right there.
It's so much duality here.
Yeah.
Like there is like, I mean, we're at this beautiful villa, right outside the gates. There is like trash everywhere.
Very
People
different
are
story.
burning everything on the
The
streets.
smells on the ride here, I was like, oh my goodness, what
It's
is
very
that?
heavy. Yeah. And you just feel like people are actually suffering.
Truly,
Like day-to-day suffering.
truly.
It's pretty hard to be with, and it's. I'm curious how you navigate that, because it's like, you can sort of intellectually rise above that and be like, oh yeah, okay, because there's duality, and then when there's like, light, there has to be darkness, or when
Right.
it's like all this kind of stuff, positive, negative.
Yeah.
And you can also be like, coming from, let's say, unity consciousness kind of thing.
Right.
Just accept everything as is, but at the same time, people are suffering.
Yeah.
And
Pain
it's
is
like,
real.
Pain is real.
It hurts. Yes.
And like, I don't think we need to go into like other, like we don't want to give like, let's say, advice to other people, but I'm curious, like, how have you navigated like the pain that you've gone through, and like also like dealing with the mind, which you said, like the mind wants something else than what actually maybe is the best for me.
Yeah. And I think that, what I'm hearing is you already answered it in the way that I orient myself to it, because if there's one thing I've learned through all of the pain that I've experienced, it's facing it. I think sometimes, and this is maybe a bit edgy to say, but I think that sometimes the lack of darkness is the problem, like our ability to bypass into the unity consciousness is part of the reason that it exists to the degree that it is. Because like I said, it doesn't matter if there's $0 or $1 million in my bank account, I'm the same person. And either way, I'm gonna walk the same way. And it's sort of like, it just sort of feels like if I can keep my heart open, despite whatever it is I'm looking at, no matter how ugly it is, no matter how painful it is, that to me, it sort of dissolves it. The fear sort of dissolves in a way, because I know the larger truth, which is that unity consciousness. This is me, I am you, we're all the same. It's all an illusion, really, no matter how real it feels or how painful it gets. It's not actually real, it's kind of an opinion. And that is really hard when there is so much suffering, if we're still identifying in a victim consciousness, victim loop, I think.
Yeah.
And it is really hard. But we were talking about leadership quite a bit, and these realizations that I've had recently, because I literally just hosted my first ever pilgrimage. There were 12 of us here in Egypt working, traveling together for 2 weeks, and I had these realizations coming out of that. They literally just left yesterday, and I just keep thinking about how holding my center was more important than saving everyone in the room. And that was part of my old story, our altruistic nature. I think it's like played like a fiddle a lot of the time. We want to save everyone. Every dog that I see covered in strange insects or suffering or hurting, or every person or every child, I want to give them all of my money. But is that really the most empowering thing for all of us? It can be really hard to sit with what comes up in us as we witness suffering of someone else, and hold space for everybody in that moment. The paradox of being in this duality is big. Can we expand our capacity to be with all of that, the truth of the situation, and not collapse into the smallness like I was talking about earlier? Yeah.
Yeah, and it resonates so much. Like, two things that come up is, I think about 2 months ago, we had a podcast with Zach Bush, and so not my podcast, but one that I filmed for someone in Amsterdam, and he talked about this trinity of victim, perpetrator, and savior.
It's the there's a name for that.
We call it in Dutch, we call it the drama triangle.
Yeah.
So it's like, he said, like, without the savior, it wouldn't exist. It would stop. It wouldn't be perpetuated forever.
You can't have it.
And also in the past week, because we also had, that's why we're here. We also had this beautiful 6-day retreat with the group, and it was a lot about leadership, and it was also like so much. Of course, when you're going really deep, there's so much coming up.
Yeah.
And enough people were like, facing parts of themselves and like getting into a lot of emotional purges. And
Sure.
for some people, the first reaction was, oh yeah, it's okay, let me help
Touch
you.
someone
Yeah.
constantly.
But what's
it is
happening then? We talked about this
Exactly.
after the last couple of days. Like what's actually happening is you're saying to someone,
I can't be with what you're showing me.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, please be quiet.
Right.
Please, this can't be here.
Yes.
So you're putting someone in the victim.
Yeah.
You're taking the power away from them.
Right.
And I feel like this is also on a bigger level, on a global scale, what we're doing
Exactly.
all the time.
Yeah, it echoes out. That was something I learned years ago when I was teaching breathwork a lot. Someone's having a big emotion in front of you, and it seems, or we're taught that you should go hug someone, or that's what we do with little ones, little kids. Oh, calm down sort of thing. But what we don't realize, what we might be on a subconscious, it's so deeply programmed. If you touch someone, even though it's coming from a place of love, you might be triggering their inner child and that part of them that's been told you're too much, this doesn't belong here, right? And so you're, interrupting that energetic flow. And it's more empowering if you can stay with what's coming up within you. And it also, and that, again, the dissolving of the fear, it's like if I've looked at it in myself, it doesn't usually, there's no trigger when I see it in the world anymore, that any type of charge around it, it just is what it is, and I can stay present with it, and that to me is love. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It can be very tricky though, especially that drama triangle, right? It comes in it's very covert. And that's what makes it so insidious, I think, that we just overlay that template over so many different things, the New Age movement, Christian or whatever religion, we can really fit it into so many different things.
And it feels so good to be the savior.
Yeah.
Your
I'm
ego
a
goes
good
like,
person.
ooh, ooh.
Yeah, I'm worthy.
Yeah.
Or and how it shows up is just so fascinating. Yeah. Again, it's like, it's not always what feels good is the truth. So it's... Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
I want to go a bit more into like the pattern recognition.
Okay, yeah.
So, I heard Robert Edward Grant say a while ago, like the things that seem random to us are simply the things that we haven't discovered the pattern for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's all a big math problem to me. We just don't have the math yet to solve for X or whatever it is. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's also like, when you think about, like, for example, synchronicities and stuff like that, like I feel like when you're in the right resonance, the world around you, like obviously it shows you're in the right energy, you're in the right frequency. For example, a couple of days ago during the event, we had another podcast with Sami Sam, and he's creating like conscious AI to help people like stay in alignment by. It's really interesting. The AI is by use of a wearable. It tracks your energy throughout
like
the
your
day.
health data.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it tracks your energy throughout the day, and it knows like, okay, after you've used it for a while, and it can see like, okay, you've done this thing which takes you 60% energy, but you have 45. So you can't be doing this. I'm rescheduling this for you to a moment where you have time.
Oh my gosh.
So we make sure that you're never depleted. You're always in energy. You can keep doing what you love, and you can be more good to the world.
Imagine if everyone was operating from a full cup. Oh my goodness.
It's really interesting. I'm like, people look at like, so a lot of people, this is a topic that's being taught about a lot, like are afraid of AI, but I think it's just an amplification of your consciousness that you put into it. As he was talking about, he talked a lot about abundance and all this, like these topics that were like around that. And as he talked about abundance, there was like all these dragonflies flying around. And as we started the conversation, there's all these dragonflies flying around.
Yes.
And there's like so many things like that happened throughout the week where you're like, this is too this too coincident? This doesn't exist to coincidences,
And I
right?
mentioned to Mark, yeah, because he told me about the dragonflies. I taught Waldorf school for a little while, and it was called Dragonfly Elementary, and so I always associate that with like education and expansion. But really, like, everything's a mirror to me. I think Egypt might be the most honest mirror. Everything's an honest mirror, right, in reality, but Egypt has been very clearly just no clearing of the mirror here, but it's like everything is amplifying what is already true. Like a pyramid is an amplifier. I read something about, I was looking at the numbers and the math, I won't get too deep into it, but I used to talk about, you know, if you play G on the piano in the same room where there's a guitar, the G string on the guitar vibrates, right? And I don't know why it only just clicked for me, but I'm like, oh, if you go into the pyramid and it's activating that frequency, you're literally talking to other points all over the globe in the nodes, you know, like Mexico, wherever, if it's tuned, right, with that same integrity.
Yeah.
And so that's how I sort of play with, I mean, that's really what I've been doing for a long time. It's like if we can activate that frequency within us and embody it, really hold it, reality will reorganize itself to reflect that frequency to us. That's the intuition as architecture, the piece. That's how I think of it, at least. It's truly like, can I, what, it's more like, who am I becoming? I never ask, like, where am I going next? Where am I going? It's always, what am I becoming? And then I follow that frequency, that resonance. I think that's the best way to say it, maybe. And orienting it that way, because it might not be what I expect. It might not, I might not even like what I see. It might be really painful, but it's always true and revealing in that way. And AI is a nuanced conversation, this technology, right, that's being revealed to us. Yeah, a lot of people are afraid, and I'd imagine that there is, the fear makes sense, it's valid to me. But yeah, what is it amplifying? You know what I mean? It's a mirror.
Yeah, if you go into it with fear,
Yeah.
you'll just experience
And really,
more
like,
fear.
what is so terrifying about it? It's like, is it because we don't know where it's coming from, like the code? Because I think that we have the same fears about other humans and other things, right? We avoid those too, and then that's why the darkness perpetuates itself. But if we all just time out for a second, I think, and look at it, you can't, again, you bring the light in, and you can't run from it anymore. And then we change reality, you know?
Is that the solution, you think? Or like, how do we deal with that?
The solution? Oh, man.
It's
No.
maybe a big question. I don't
That's a
know.
very big question. Yeah. I think, yeah, I cannot say that I have the solution. I do think there are a lot of bridges being built right now that will hopefully lead us to a solution, because I can imagine it in my mind. I can imagine a world where suffering takes on a very different shape, right? I don't think we can avoid pain. I think there will always be pain and blood and guts and sweat and tears in this physical realm, and that's, I think, kind of the point of being here.
Yeah.
But I think we can evolve through love just as easily as we can through pain, and we can make that choice to bring love into every experience. And it really puts a new perspective on pain. And so maybe the bridges that are emerging now, whether it's crypto and Bitcoin and all these, you know, AI, all this technology, maybe fusing that with the truth is exactly what will help us really remember, I think.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's just a matter of perspective. Everything is, obviously.
Everything.
Like, one of the things that Sammy said was like, people are afraid AI is going to take your job. Do you really want to work?
Is that
Or
really
you want
the
to
job?
play?
Exactly. Yes. Like, exactly. Or what type of job? Yeah. I mean, I said this a while back. I think it was when the tariffs became a big thing, and I was in Vietnam when that happened, and so it was really interesting. I had taken a bus out to this Hindu temple. I forget what it's called, but I remember going past like all of the fabric and clothing factories and thinking, all of these people are going to experience a very different reality if their largest consumer is suddenly not buying as much, right? The tariffs were really coming. And so while there was good in the tariff situation for a lot of people in the fashion industry and other industries, I'm sure, but also it was going to mean a huge, massive hit. That was what I was envisioning. But also, then I'm zooming out. I'm like, okay, but what's the larger plan here? Like, the billionaires and the big bad guys at the top, like I don't see it that way, but that's what a lot of people project onto, that level of wealth and power and influence, right? It's like, what's the larger plan? We've got a big pyramid and you keep taking from the bottom, wiping out the little guy. That sounds like it's going to fall over at some point, because if the plan was to lower the interest rates and all that, so the factories come back to the United States and replace all those jobs or create more jobs, but all of the jobs were going to be factories, like, long, monotonous, same kind of, that's a computer job to me. And so that's why we want the factories in the United States, which a lot of people I don't think were realizing. Like, they heard jobs and thought it would be, boost economy for people, but I don't think that that's maybe the plan. But either way, it's like, what is the end game? What is the solution, right? I put that in air quotes because it sounds like you're leading yourself to your own demise, because now you've got a bunch of people who don't have jobs, don't have money, and they don't have a whole lot to lose, because there's not, and we see this all over the world. What happens then? Like, what happens after that, right? And what do we choose in those moments? Because we don't know what's going to happen or how it will play out. But I do think that a lot of truth is going to be exposed in really radical ways, because these systems can't, I don't think, if it's not rooted in truth and love, it can't exist in the new frequency that's emerging really rapidly. Because so many of us are looking inward now, and shining that light inside and turning over those stones and looking at the dark parts of ourselves, because it's in there,
Yeah.
And then being able to witness it in the world, and then moving from that place, letting reality rearrange itself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also interesting when I notice like how my perspective has changed over the years on, well, what reality is, but also like to say the more like the physical state of the world, and like politics and all this stuff. When you think, for example, about like, okay, you say there's control systems, like there's government, there is these secret societies that have like knowledge,
Right.
they are showing you they have knowledge. They're just not showing you the details of it, but they're using it.
Right.
And it's like, I used to be like, oh, that's so bad and evil and da 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 da. And I've definitely, my view has shifted, because I feel like it's two ways. It's, first of all, I don't believe there's true evil. I think there's just hurt people.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of like hurt, which
Exactly.
causes people to do things that hurt others.
Right.
And then also, this is what Matthias talked about as well, which was, I was like, okay, he works a lot in these realms with energies and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear him say, like, he says they are keeping it hidden for protection, for a reason. Because, okay, so let's say the example of free energy. Like, there has been in the last century, I don't know, around 100 people that have invented some form of like cars running on water,
Right.
all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like over Unity machines.
Right.
And always it's been like patents been bought up, someone disappears, someone gets killed.
Drowns in the pool, and you're like, what? Yeah.
Like a lot of coincidences,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And he said, like, yes, I can see what you're saying, and it's terrible. And if we would all have free energy, the random guy here on the street that lives from survival will make a nuclear bomb tomorrow.
Exactly. And who knows what. Yeah.
So it's also like, we first need to, like, as a collective, as humanity, we need to really embody both light and darkness, being able to like hold the paradox, hold the energy, embody the state of unconditional love for all beings, and know that you're the messenger. When you're triggering me, you're not my enemy. When we, like, as a majority, when we come to that, then the outside will reflect that, and all this stuff will automatically become available, because it's just a mirror of our internal state.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's so much I could say, but what you just made me think of was the Noah's Ark thing, the boat they found in front of the pyramid. there's like 1,244 pieces of this boat they've been systematically broken apart and put in this hole. And then there was those big rock slabs put over top of it, and that's how they found it, right? And I think about Noah's Ark a lot, and I'm a big fan of really cool stories and things, but like this revealing, I guess, is kind of what I'm thinking about. Like the ark represents consciousness, you know, and the two animals one by one is the duality and the masculine feminine poles. And it's like maybe humanity just didn't have the awareness to understand that story and the way that it really truly is, right, for what it was and why Noah built this ark to begin with. And we literally didn't find it until we had the awareness, right, to put all those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
But it's exactly like what you're saying with, the knowledge being unleashed too soon. And so we're projecting judgment, essentially, in my opinion, you know, onto these actors and players. And they're just characters in the story, right, that we get to project onto until we realize that is our own. And labeling anything good or bad. I mean, anytime I catch myself in that space, I know I'm like, oh, the false matrix has me. That's just the false matrix. Like, that's not divine matrix. That's not divinity in me. Something outside of me, if I am labeling it anything other than perfect, because everything is, in my opinion, always perfectly unfolding in everything in every way, I know that I am operating from a shadow. Or there's something about it that I don't know. And so I totally agree. And it's a really fun idea to play with. You know, what if these big bad actors and the people who commit these atrocities, they're evil? And like, is a baby evil? Is a baby, that person was a baby. What made them evil? What is evil? You know, is there evil in nature, I guess is the question. Does an animal, you know, need to know evil in order to learn its survival instincts? Because that's really we've all just developed survival instincts and trauma responses. And like you said, it's unhealed, unloved parts. And what if we brought love to those aspects of other people? Like, what might shift if we were brave enough to look at the evil and the ugly and the pain and love it, even if it's not what we want or what we think is right, even if it doesn't feel fair? I mean, I say that as someone who's experienced like a lot of abandonment and betrayal and physical pain. And the only thing that has ever saved me in those places was myself and learning to hold myself and then move from that place, you know, of love and compassion. But the projections, it's a really fun game to play with. The possibilities of like, what if this like Hitler-esque energy that we've labeled is actually on a soul level something that loves us more than any and all of what we can possibly imagine, right? Because they're waking us up to,
right,
you know, the truth, I guess.
And that's just like, from what level are you viewing it? Are you looking as the human that has one life and will die, and it's like there needs to be perfect justice from your perspective in this life?
Yes.
Or is it like, oh no, I actually experience or believe that I came here as a soul.
Yes.
There were some agreements made beforehand. I'd like to learn this. I've done this in previous lifetimes. Now I want to do that.
Yeah.
Can you help me? I'll be the bad guy this time. You'll be the bad guy next time.
Yes.
And karmic stuff comes into play here as well.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay, you choose to do that. And we've all known like the most physical thing. You can't grow a muscle without putting pain into it.
Inflammation.
Right? Without inflammation,
Yes.
without like breaking it apart a little bit, and it will grow a little bit bigger.
Right.
And it's the same with like your capacity to hold stuff. It will only happen on the edge of your capacity.
Yes.
Or a little bit over it.
Yeah.
You will grow.
Yeah.
I also thought about like this. There's this, I'm not sure, I think it's Bruce Almighty, this film, like years ago with Jim Carrey.
I saw it, but I
Morgan
couldn't.
Freeman.
Yeah.
And there's like this one scene where God is talking to just someone on the street, and he appears like, and he says like, okay, the woman, and I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but you get the essence of it. This woman is like, you know, asks for certain things, and she feels like she gets the opposite.
Well.
And then he's like, if you ask for growth, would I just give you growth, or would I give you a situation that has the opportunity for growth in it?
Yeah.
If you want love, do I give you love without context?
How
or
will
do
you
I...
know what it is?
Exactly.
If you don't know the opposite, yeah.
And if you just like make that, let's say, bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
you just end up with where we are right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's,
Truly.
let's say, God's love through polarity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, the labeling is part of the stickiness. And that's when we get wrapped into the suffering, when we label it and we give it a meaning. And maybe this is the story that I knew that this happened for a reason. I didn't think I was going to share this, but I feel comfortable if you're willing to listen. Because the second day I arrived in Egypt, I had a massive pain flare. So for decades, I ended up on the bathroom floor every time I got my menstrual cycle because the pain, the cramping was so severe. I would get sweaty, I'd pass out, I'd throw up. I mean, it was awful, and this ruled my life. But because I was so intent on not having surgery, not doing any of the prescription drugs, and doctors never had answers or reasons for me, I was kind of just on my own. I stopped going to the hospital, and I just surrendered to, I don't know if there's a cyst inside of me rupturing and tearing off a piece of my ovary, and so I'm going to internally bleed out on the floor. You know, it was like I just surrendered over and over for years until I caught the pattern enough to notice what was causing that pain in my body, because that was my only symptom. There weren't other symptoms for a long time. And that happened the second day I arrived in Egypt, and it doesn't happen that often. This was the first time in like almost a year that I've had one this severe. I was actually outside the old market with a friend, and out of nowhere, I mean, I was on my hands and my knees, and I experienced a lot of support from strangers, like Egyptian strangers who didn't know what was going on, just some like white tourist girls like freaking out. There's a man that drove me across Cairo for 45 minutes, like a crazy guy, like he knew something was wrong, and it just felt so held in that experience. But also, I woke up this morning a fully menstruating woman, and I'm sitting here talking to you. I feel safe telling you that, and I feel no shame admitting that to anyone listening to this. And it's important, I think, because this last month has been so stressful. I've been in Egypt for 3 weeks. It's a brand new environment. Like we said, it's a lot to witness the suffering, and not just how hard it is, life here. You know, I'm talking with the waiter last night. He's a refugee from Sudan. He's been in Egypt for 7 years, and he's this beautiful human, and he has this amazing outlook and this perspective on life, and just the tragic beauty of relating to someone in such an honest, real way who's lived, you know, and yet has no, I felt no, you know, strange energy toward me or, you know, extraction or anything like that. But it's like, I can put my body through extreme stress. I've been holding space energetically for 12 people as we move through really challenging situations and a lot of emotional purging. You meet parts of yourself that you didn't know existed when you're traveling, especially with strangers, going to these temples, getting activated. Like, we're doing all this stuff, and yet I woke up today with no pain. But that wasn't the case a month ago. Literally, a month ago, I was on the street. And so at some point you have to look in the mirror and say, what's different here? I'm the common denominator. That's the only thing. And obviously it's not just stress. And I already found out a long time ago that it's not just my diet, and it's not just the EMFs and the pollutions and the poisons and all this stuff that I was projecting onto other people for a long time. It's my emotions. It's my emotional state. My womb is this source of infinite wisdom. It's a direct line to God. There's a portal to another dimension in between my legs. That's insane. That's crazy. So it's like, what is the difference? What happened in that month leading up, right? Because it's kind of like a report card, I think, for women. But I think there are lots of ways that our bodies talk to us, and they are the oracle, in my opinion. It's like we can use our body to navigate physical reality, because everything is energy first, and our body decodes that, and then reality rearranges itself as if we are creating the environment for, you know, for what we want to experience. But again, it's like taking responsibility. I had this initiation almost that second day in Egypt, like. You will be held. You will be safe, even if you can admit the truth of what you're experiencing. And that was a really crazy thing to experience. But I had to be honest, I looked back at the month before and I had been overriding signals from my body because I really wanted to finish this project that I'm working on. And I pushed so hard. And I was preventing myself, I was escaping a feeling. I didn't want to feel grief that was coming up because something didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. I was avoiding like the sadness and my anxiety about all the things that could go wrong in Egypt, you know, the stress of that. And then that is when I felt it, I think, was that moment. I think God was like, no, you're going to have to face this one way or another. And I think the rebound rate for a lot of the ways that we're moving through the world, it's like much faster. You know, the energetic rebound is, that feedback system is quicker.
Yeah, but it gets quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the same
Can't
with
lie.
manifestation and everything. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that like loops back to what we were originally talking about, but it's this like initiation into deeper layers of sensitivity. But I could have gotten really down on myself and said, oh, I'm not evolved. And I don't want to admit that this is still a problem, right? These pain flares and things like that. But it isn't like that at all. To me, it's just like this spiral, you know, you don't heal and then you've arrived somewhere. Like, I wish it was that way. But the pain, it's like we don't avoid it. It's just like you go deeper and deeper and more into that darkness. It's like, I don't know, I don't think it ends. I don't think that's the point.
Yeah.
But we orient ourselves to it differently. And yeah, I mean, after experiencing that for so long, decades of not knowing how long it would last or if it would end or if I even would close my eyes and open them again, you know, I think it's just, yeah, at this point I'm like, try me. I don't know. Throw it out and let's see what happens. I don't know.
You said one thing about like, where is it? You said something like, I wake up every morning and say, blow my mind, God.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I dare you, blow my mind. And that's really what it is sometimes, because I think the only thing I've ever been able to rely on is God. It's been me and God the whole time. You know, the doctors, that villain, victim, savior complex, that triangle. I've tried on all of those different roles, and I don't really like any of them, to be honest. None of them feel really good. And so I had to sort of learn how to remove myself from those dynamics, and again, deeper and deeper layers, because it's so covert, and we engage with it. It feels natural, it feels normal. And really stepping out of those. But yeah, I play games all day long with God. Show me a miracle, I dare you. And then you have to just not be attached. You know, I think when we don't feel worthy of ourselves, we'll try and control and we'll manipulate. If we don't feel worthy of a miracle, whether that miracle is watching a mother and a child like have this like a moment of pure joy on the playground or winning the lottery, you know, like both of those things are a miracle to me. My morning a cup of coffee is a miracle to me, you know, not that I drink coffee, but it can be, you know, or yeah, blow my mind, I dare you. Worthiness, I think, what's like another, if we don't feel worthy, we'll control, we'll manipulate, and if we don't feel, like if we're attached, I guess is the difference too. If we're feeling unsafe, I think we'll be too attached to an outcome, and that kind of goes back to the illusion reality things, because I will like imagine the Bali scene, and I will imagine, you think that picks it?
That's way.
Okay, yeah. Is that the first plane that's gone by? It's very loud. Yeah, fill it up. But yeah, like imagining, I would get very attached to the Bali scene, or it can be anything. Like we attach to a partner in a relationship. You know, what do they say? A crush is just a lack of information. Like if you have a crush on someone, it's just you just don't know everything about them, you know? It's like, and so we attach to this image, you know, of
Yeah,
people.
could be. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the illusion is never the thing. Like I've learned, like it's not going to look the way it looks in my mind or how I think it's going to be. It's probably going to be better. I just have to follow the energetic undercurrent, the emotional attachment, and not be attached to what it shows up as in the physical. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And like being okay with it, not with for a while experiencing it as not better on the way to better.
Right, like whatever the turbulence is on the landing, yeah, it might be a really rocky flight, but you're going to get where you're going
Yeah.
ultimately
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah.
That whole like this whole like surrendering and like you say like it's me and God. Like, how do you know it will work out, or do you need to know? Is it enough to believe? Is it a different thing?
Yeah, I'm going to sit with that for a second because I don't know actually. It's unhinged, it's delusional, the degree to which I truly believe it's going to work out. I know that about myself. I'm aware of that because it's looked really ugly and really bad a lot of the time, and it's never not worked out. And so I think it's like that old, saying, if it's not the end, then it's, like we're not to the end yet. So it's going to work out because we're still here.
Yeah.
And that's really how I see it. It's like I woke up with air in my lungs and I'm here. And so I win. I've won the game already. Like I get to be here. And so it doesn't actually matter. Like it's just a game that I'm playing with. And I think if we're so set on winning or having things work out the way we think they should, or, the game stops being fun at a certain point, which is, not the point. But that's the surrender piece. It can be very challenging though.
Yeah, like I mean, I've definitely been leaning into it more and more and playing with it.
Yeah.
Like, what's your perspective for? Because if you first start doing this, it feels very scary.
Yeah.
So like I'm supposed to surrender, like everything's going wrong, and like you're holding on and you're trying to control everything, and like so for people that are like with your experience, for people that are going through that phase,
Yeah.
like starting out to learning to surrender,
Yeah.
what would you say?
What's coming to mind right now is how I hope, and I would never wish this on anyone, would be to like be forced into surrender, because that was really my journey, was I didn't have a choice. And I think that's why I see pain as a teacher, not as a good or a bad thing, but really and truly as like a teacher that's here to bring more truth. Like I didn't have a choice. I had to listen to my body. And it got to the point really where it was like, choose life or die, because this isn't existing. You've got to choose to live your life, and you can't let this rule you, whatever this thing is. And for me, it was, the physical pain and a lot of stories about what I deserved and what I was worthy of. And knowing that if I settle, I will have to live with it literally, physically in my body. And that just isn't an option, because I can see the potential and what's possible. And I know just from practice, if I can imagine it in my mind, it exists. It's close enough on some dimension that I can reach through the ether and I can pull it into my reality. That's how I see it. Like, some things are really hard to imagine, like for us to, like there's a version of us in an alternate reality where like I'm covered in tattoos and I don't know, maybe you're snorting cocaine off the rail, or something like that. Like, right? Like maybe that exists somewhere, but it's really hard to imagine that. Like, I don't know, not that tattoos are bad or anything. It's just like, that's not this vibe right now. Yeah. But there are other versions of reality that we can all imagine for ourselves, I think. And because we can see them, we can feel what it's like to have the group of friends that we feel safe and held with, or, being seen by another person or whatever it is, or the relationship with our mom and our dad that's easy and nurturing, or the reality, the systems that exist where the human spirit is able to thrive, those things exist. They're close enough to us so that we can imagine them, which means we can reach to the ether and pull them into this timeline. And all that's required of us is letting go, I think, dropping the heavy stuff. What beliefs are preventing you from experiencing that reality? What thoughts are you repeating in your mind, unconsciously or subconsciously, otherwise, that are actually the thing getting in the way of you being on that timeline, or however you want to think about it? And sometimes it does mean a relationship has to go, or a location change, or whatever it is, a diet, a habit, whatever. How it shows up isn't really up to us, and it's always surprising, but that's been the process. It's like this pull me back to reality, sort of slam me down into what is truth in this moment, and then that illusion was the initiation. Like this fantasy that I had in my mind of what life could be or would look like has never worked out. It's always been better because the feeling was there. It was just never what I thought. Because our mind, I dream a lot. Do you dream? Do you remember your dreams?
Not a lot.
Really? That's
Yes,
so funny.
I want to, but then I'm like, no, by wanting it, I'm actually keeping it from happening.
Yes,
So it's
kinda.
like, no, let it go.
Okay, we're
But
setting the
it's
intention.
sometimes, like, and I've been practicing with that, like
Yeah,
before
yeah.
I go to bed, like set the intention.
Right.
And I've had like, sometimes like last night I woke up in the middle of the night and there's like an insight with,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
went to bed with a question, like I was trying to figure out why something happened. I'm like,
Right.
tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I woke up at like 3 a.m. sweating and I'm like, I thought, I'm like, okay,
I got my answer.
kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think of that, thank you. And then go to bed,
Yeah.
like take off a blanket and go
Right,
back to bed.
right. Yes. Wow.
So, yeah,
Interesting.
but it's not like I've had it moments in my life where I had like this almost like psychedelic
Vivid.
like films, you know, like
Yeah,
dreams.
yeah.
And I've also had like recurring nightmares when I was like when I had fevers.
Yeah.
Always the same.
Oh man. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
and it also felt like that had to do with surrender. But like no, it's like the last couple of years, like
Yeah.
surprisingly little.
Interesting. Well, I mean, and maybe that will change, but I've always been a big dreamer. Like I dream every night, and for the last like 7 years, I've been recording them in voice notes every morning.
Wow.
And I only started doing that because my handwriting was so sloppy. Because I'd wake up in the middle of the night and write it down. I'd be like, I can't read this.
In the dark.
So now I just have like the voice note. It's like the only app I can reach in the middle of the night, and it's just. But AI makes it very cool because you can like search the transcripts, and you talk about pattern recognition. I'm like having a field day with my dreams because it's crazy how like prophetic in my own reality they become. But my point is, through that process, I realized, how deeply our subconscious uses things we know to try and tell us things we don't know. And that is confusing for our human mind that is very linear and expecting everything to be methodical and that, right? So it's like, I'm going to show them this thing or this person, which is really an archetype and a symbol, doing something. And it's going to seem maybe benign or mundane or whatever it is, but I'm actually trying to convey like a much bigger truth. But it's hard, you know what I mean? And so I think that also happens with our daydreams and our dreams in general and our illusions and our fantasies about what we want to create in the world or what we want to experience. And so it's like, how can I continue to decode all of this from the dragonflies circling around my head at that exact moment to, the numbers passing by or the synchronicities of the locations and the people and all the things. It's like, reality is, God is so funny. God is so funny. Like I woke up with my period this morning and I'm not in any pain and I'm here doing this thing, having like an awesome time. And a month ago I was on the floor and now I'm here talking about it. You know what I mean? Just to convey, I think, like the power and the strength in, like vulnerability and softness and honesty and truth. It's like, what if we all operated from that level of integrity? Whoa. Because how many times, like, it's Egypt's lesson in general. I don't want to like keep derailing this, but like Egypt has just been such a crazy mirror. I can't get over how clear of a mirror it is. Like the contradictions are all right here in front of you. Okay, it was disturbing at first. Like I really had to wrap my mind and sit with why I found it so disturbing for a second. Because I was like, oh no, this is not truth. We got to figure this out. But then I had this realization, it's like chaos and order fund one another. The light economy is funded and fueled by the dark economy. That's the oldest alchemy in the book. That's been happening all over the world for how long? It's the same thing as the spiritual teacher, I think, that, preaches all this, it says all the right things maybe, but is really operating from the neck up. They're not really embodying it. They're not operating from their heart, or maybe they're operating from fear. It's like, what's the difference there? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean the whole religion system is built on fear, pretty much, right?
Yeah, and keeping everyone very small and yeah, I think so. Yeah, can we use the unconscious and the symbols and all that kind of stuff that we know to build something that we've never seen before, that we don't have a blueprint for? We are flying blind essentially, but we're so guided every step, and the more we surrender, the more it seems to just materialize. And action now to me is like breathing. It's like, oh, it's right here. All I have to do is write the thing or say the thing. And that feels very different than what I was doing before, trying to control and manipulate, you know, like consciously or otherwise. Yeah.
It's a way less working hard.
Yeah, like there's a lot. Resting is like a part-time job for me. Forcing myself to rest has become like a part-time job for me. Like trying to, and that's part of why I ended up on the floor a month ago, is because I wasn't being disciplined in rest, which feels so strange to even say. What is that? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Love that. You said a while ago, like you've been traveling for years. What is home to you then?
Yeah, people ask me all the time, and I just say, right here, this is my home. My home is here, in my body. Yeah, that definition has evolved and changed so much, because it wasn't until, you know, maybe a year ago that I had this realization that I've actually just been like chasing and running and looking for a home for a really long time. Unconsciously, I've wanted to stay. Everywhere I've ended up, I've like had this very secret, even hidden from myself, desire to stay. But there's always been a reason that I can't, or it doesn't work out, or the universe is pushing me somewhere else. And I resented that and I hated it. Again, the truth. But I am now the version of myself that can hold the frequency of the type of home that I want to be in. And I didn't even know what I wanted for a long time. I thought I did, but that was actually rooted in programming and conditioning and other people telling me what I should want. And I got it a lot. I got it so many times, and every time I didn't like it. You know, I thought this actually isn't what I wanted it to be or what I thought it was going to be. And I evolved and realized there was something else, that there was more truth. And so now I really feel like I've arrived, because I don't even feel attached to having a home. But I do know I'm going to experience it soon, I think, and whatever that looks like, you know, that definition. But to me, it's really been deeper roots, no matter where I am, no matter what reality looks like, just really deep roots. And now I really feel like I energetically have the roots that I could manifest that in the physical, you know, what that looks like, yeah.
Do you think like the way to change your reality is to change your inner state? Is that all it is, or is there more to it?
I think it's a both and, just like everything. The consciousness game is always both and. It's yes, your inner state is, I think, reflecting to us all the time, and there is action involved and this ownership of our creator abilities, right? We came here to create things, co-creation with the benevolent force that's firing all of this. I don't know, like what's growing the trees, what's beating my heart. I'm not telling my body to do that. There's something else here that I'm working with, and that's where that's where my devotion lies. I'm devoted to that completely, constantly, always. And the truth of that, you know, I always look to nature. It's like, if I'm confused, if something's not feeling right, you know, I'm standing in the temple and I've got this icky feeling in my body, and people are slipping each other a bunch of money, and we're like having these weird conversations, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? This feels not good. Like, I have to get honest with myself about what that means for me and why. Because it might not phase someone else the same way. And
Right.
yeah, I think, the co-creation.
It also feels like what was a big shift for me was being willing to step away from whatever situation and being okay with the fact that if you follow your truth, it might hurt someone.
Yes.
Because it's a reflection to a part of them as well.
Exactly.
And you don't have the
mirror.
intention to hurt them, but
Right.
it might happen anyway.
Their pain might surface as a result. Yeah, and have you ever had to walk away from something that was like actually pretty good? Because that's another real cluster in your mind when you're on this path. It's like, this is actually a really good thing, but it's not in alignment, and so I have to walk away. And that is so confusing sometimes.
Yeah, I've been in that for the last while. But like, and I also got back to like, oh, actually, there's been moments before, just on a smaller scale, where it was the same of like, like on paper it made sense, but something in my body was like, it's time to go.
Exactly.
And I fought it for months, got sick.
Right.
got stressed, got headaches, got, like, felt like so much stress in my system.
Yes.
Everything went wrong all of a sudden. Like life wasn't flowing the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And then I got the message, and I make the decision, and I just have this, like, you just feel the energy dropping in the body, and it's just like, okay, this was it. And then there's emptiness.
Yes.
And from the emptiness,
the void,
something new can arise.
Yes, like a
everything
seed.
gets created in the void.
Yes.
Yeah.
The womb, the seed, and the dirt. It's dark in there. We don't know. Our humans have a lot of trouble definitely feeling that discomfort in the uncertainty. And that has been, I mean, part of establishing home within myself has been truly like laying on the beach and just repeating constantly, reprogramming my mind. Literally, it is safe to relax in the discomfort. It is safe to relax in the uncertainty. It's okay, you don't have to know what comes next. And in doing that, I can see then all of my unconscious attempts to control or manipulate situations, because it really is so sneaky. It used to come up often when I would choose to leave or not leave a place. You know, I've been traveling intentionally nomadically. I've been using nomad as the word because I don't know what else to call it, but it's like, I just go where God tells me. That's really it. But there's shadow and ego involved in that, because sometimes, say like a romantic situation didn't work out. I'm in a place, and if I'm not being perfectly honest about what it is I'm calling in and what I'm becoming and what I want to experience, I might leave because it will force that person to call me and say, oh, come back, or they won't call, and then I get to live in the they didn't care and it's over, and and all of that is an unconscious sort of control, I think, manipulation tactic to force reality to meet me where I want it to meet. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, if I'm being honest, I have to get, is where I'm at resonating with what I'm calling in? Is it best for my body and my system to stay or to go? And if none of this worked out the way that I wanted it to, like, can I be honest with myself? We do it very, very sneaky ways, to force things. And it's really fun to get curious about why we're doing something. What's the intention behind the choice we're making, and why are you doing it? Because it will trigger everyone around you. That was a big pattern for a long time. Everyone around me said, you're selfish. You're crazy. What are you doing?
Like, for choosing yourself?
By literally being like, I'm going to leave tomorrow. Oh, what are you going to do for this? And how are you going to make money? How is it? You're never going to, those were the stories I would tell myself, because they were other people's voices in my head. You're never going to have a phone or a home. You're never going to have, the things you want in life if you keep moving this way, if you never put down roots. But everything in my body was screaming to go. And really experience and see it for myself. I mean, COVID was a huge catalyst for that, because I just kept thinking, I'm not going to sit inside all winter. I know it's coming. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go somewhere warm so I can ride my bike and and see, what the rest of the world is, how they're handling this and that sort of thing. And it's just evolved into, well, I want to see how that happens and how that works. And then apply it to my own life. And in the process, like, unintentionally building this spiritual muscle of surrender and trust and sitting with the uncertainty and the magic that is available in every single moment. It's really remarkable. Yeah, truly. God is so playful. It's so wild. Yeah. And I think that's part of why I seem that way. Like you mentioned that, like the play, it's like, I just don't, like Noah's Ark, that story, it's never made sense to me. God loves me, but he also will flood the earth because I'm bad. What? Does that sound like an all-loving, gracious father? Is that how that energy really would behave? Like, there's more to that story,
Yeah.
And so finding the actual boat, whether it is or not, doesn't matter, but whatever this symbol is like, again, to me, like, our awareness has expanded to the point where we can hold the paradox of whatever the truth really is. But I love the I love feeling uncomfortable. I love anything that can make me, like the crunchiness of, like, how many perspectives can I put in my body at one time and hold it? And, like, that makes me very excited thinking about that.
What's been, like, your favorite experience when it comes to that recently?
Oh, man. I mean, there's so many in Egypt. This whole thing with the tipping culture it's been just loud, and the illusions, I was thinking about it a little bit here because the pattern shows up in so many ways. Like Hollywood, it's the same thing. It runs on art and this like performance, this fakeness, right? Politics, it's the same thing. There's like legislation and also this performance. And yeah, I don't know if I have like one favorite. I'm sure more memories will pop in, like stories of like holding space for 12 different people who don't travel like me, like constantly, you know, it's just like a new experience for them. And so it was interesting watching, you know, we started in Cairo and there's crunchiness, you know, you've got to be a little more on guard and boundaried, I think, in a place like this and aware. And then we went to Aswan and we got on the boat after a couple of days and it got really cushy. It was luxurious. We were getting fed 3 meals a day and they ring the bell for dinner and it's like tea time and we're getting off and going to the temples every day and we bonded and it was beautiful and we went deep, you know, there was a lot of emotional stuff coming up and then we came back to Cairo eventually at the end of the trip and it was again like, can we hold space for like the reality to sink in of what we just experienced and now this hustle of like we've got a schedule and we've got to get through the traffic and we've got to deal with this and now this thing's, you know, the buses are late because everything here is crazy and
We haven't had like food at the time that we agreed on once. It's always been like between 20 minutes and an hour later. And the whole schedule moves. And you're like,
yes,
oh, yeah.
and just rolling with it and seeing the way other people orient themselves to that and yeah, just like very humbling reminders of what it really means to like hold space and witness, you know, the way we all react to stress and things not going the way we thought they would or plan or not having the conveniences that we're used to, you know, like when you're in a foreign country and there's a language barrier and you're asking for oat milk or whatever and they're like don't even know what you're talking about and it's just really it's just so funny to me and yeah like yeah holding space for all of those paradoxes. I can't think of like a real good story but we'll keep talking maybe one will drop in. Yeah,
Earlier we talked about like the void and you said like a seed and it's also a thing Matthias talked about. Like we went into the king's chamber with an idea, an intention, a seed, and you step into the void and we actually did like it was also like a private tour and the lights went out and you were there like it's completely black.
and you open your eyes and it's still black.
It's
It
still
does
black. It's
beautiful
still very
things to your
black.
brain.
It's like two of like it's like a slow churning air conditioning, like a tiny light in the
oh
back.
yeah, they
but
had
it
those
wasn't
air
really-
filters in there.
Yeah. But I'm wondering about like your experiences because I think for you it was also the first time in the pyramid.
Yeah.
And like what really struck me is like the first bit is almost more like you walk into a cave.
Yeah.
And I heard from a local that said like no, but because they bombed their way into it. Wasn't the original entrance. Like how we get in, because you see like it's like a cave. It's like not like straight walls.
Right.
And then after like 20, 30 meters, there's a staircase and there's also going
Right,
down.
you gotta go
okay,
down
this
again.
was the original thing.
Mm.
And then you are crawling for like, I don't know, half a minute or something, like almost on your knees.
Literally dirty
and then all of a sudden it opens up.
Yes.
And there's like this, it's so hard, hard to describe how magnificent. Because you think, okay, sure, it's a big building.
Yeah.
And or whatever you want to call it, structure.
Right.
And you go into, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
So it's this big structure and you go into it and you have an idea of where you're going to be roughly, of course. But then as you have done this little crawling part, this small tight hallway, all of a sudden there's like a, I don't know, 15-meter high, like this shape. And it's going up and it's like this, it's like Stairway to Heaven or something.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God.
But you're also in the earth too, because you've crawled down. So that's, and yeah, my mind was trying to reconcile that while I was in there. all the pyramids we've crawled into that way. It's very disorienting because some of them you go up really high and then you go down and there's, it's really interesting.
It was so, like, I really got brought back to this, like, how did they do this?
Right.
And like, I can sort of imagine why, I guess, through like stories, but like, just the amount of dedication.
Devotion.
Devotion,
yes.
Exactly. And like, you have to be connected to something higher to be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah.
Matthias told us like this was in the ancient time of Kemet, so this is 12, 15,000 years ago, maybe even older than that. What some people call Atlantis.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
We don't really know.
Yeah.
But what some of the stuff that he remembers was, because he remembers his past lives or parts of his past lives, and he remembers that around that time they did a 12-year initiation from Aswan along the Nile,
Yeah.
and spending 2 years in each place, and you're going from west to east to west to east, and every single time you die and you get born again, you die and you're born. And so you're not literally physically dying, obviously.
Yeah.
You said like we have a wrong idea of death, what death means.
Totally.
But you're dying to a part of yourself, to your
Yeah.
personality, to your identity.
Yes.
And then you create yourself again, and you become more and more empty, more and more pure.
Yes.
And whoever has succeeded in doing that 12-year journey, which was definitely not everyone, was allowed, if they were pure enough, to go into the king's chamber. And when you're in the king's chamber, so it took, and it didn't matter how rich you were or whatever, you couldn't buy yourself around it. It had to do the 12-year.
That, I think, is why the tipping thing and the cultures and all, that's why it rubbed me so the wrong way. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, because it's an amplifier. You get in that space, this granite room, and you're like, exactly, what is this? And you feel it in your body, like the power and the energy. And I mean, I think they knew, and what is not communicated clearly is that it is an amplifier. Whatever you take in there is going to amplify across this unseen network that we know exists, but maybe we don't pay attention to it, or we don't believe it's there, whatever the reason, it's conditioned out of us. And so you're going to meet it in that space. And so it makes sense that there would be a purification or some type of journey required.
Yeah.
If they understood the power of that, that's what's being amplified in that space. We don't want, a lot of ego going in there or whatever it is, without witnessing it, or whatever that looks like. Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. And so he gave us 2 weeks before, and he gave us like some instructions, but like, don't have 12 years, but please use 2 weeks to purify yourself as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's essentially what we did, the initiatic path. That's what we did on that 2-week journey, and we ended at the King's Chamber that night. And yeah, I mean, it's making me think right now of this car accident that I was in I think 2022, and it was a part of me that died. It was very much a wake-up call, and I think that maybe that is the paradox story. I had done so much healing, I had worked on myself, I was not in pain like I used to be with my cycle and things like that, and then I almost died on this icy highway in Montana. I was pissed. I'm not someone, I've never been someone who like panics under pressure. So my car started sliding kind of miraculously, and I knew better than to slam on the brakes, or I'm trying to self-correct, and there was a tractor trailer coming, and I slid right into the front left tire. And I spun around a bunch of times, and I remember that whole entire, it felt like a year. It was probably not even a few seconds. And I wasn't scared. There was no like panic. I was mad. All I remember thinking was like, this is how I die. I literally remember those were the only thing going, I was like pissed. This is not how I die. And I didn't die. I spun around. I remember the airbags going off and that smell, and it was crazy because my car saved my life. I was driving this 1999 Volvo, which I loved this car so much, but it saved my life because they don't make cars. If I had been driving anything else, I would have died. The chaplain that he drove me home. They called a chaplain to the scene because they thought I was going to be dead. Wow. Yeah, he said that if it had been a different car, it would have been a very different experience. But again, I was alone completely. I didn't have any contact with my family. I didn't have a partner. I had no friends. I had just gotten divorced. It was like a very different time in my life. And my foot was broken, but I didn't want to go to the hospital because it was the height of the vaccine situation, and I just wasn't going to play that game. And yeah, I just would get naked and I'd go lay out in the snow, and my broken nose and my bruises all over my body, because it was the only thing. And those are the moments I think, like, how could I choose to believe that it could get better after that? Why didn't I go run back into old dynamics or call someone who wasn't truly safe for me? Why did I choose instead something that I couldn't see, I didn't know for sure. But yeah, like unhinged level of trust and devotion to something. Yeah, because it's always worked out better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that I was worth more than where I had been before most of the time. That darkness and those control systems that I came from, like, it's got to be better than this because I can see it. I believe it exists, and so I'm going to follow it. And that's what I experienced in that chamber, I guess, was like gratitude for that whole journey. It was just overwhelming gratitude for all of those moments of paradox and the discomfort of choosing love for myself and everyone involved in those situations, no matter what was happening, because it taught me how powerful I am and how much all of this is, like, we don't know anything about what's really going on here. That's like one mystery of a million.
Yeah.
It seems. But yeah, like as we continue to surrender and expand, we remember more and more. So exciting. I want you to tell me more about, your King's Chamber experience. And because there's so much in there. Yeah. The sound, the amplification, whatever you put in there is what is in the field. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we definitely had this whole, like, 2 weeks of, like, he said, like, okay, try not to eat certain things.
Right.
Also, like, here's a few questions about, because we were doing the whole 5-day event was around the initiatic path of Mahat,
Yes.
just this, ancient deity or God, or he said, like, I prefer to call him energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something
Not quite like
that.
a, yeah.
So it's not a physical thing; it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
And which is about, like, truth, balance, coherence,
Justice.
right? Embodiment. And it goes like, okay, so are you aligned? Are you actually living and speaking
Right.
how you truly are?
Right.
And is your masculine and feminine in balance?
Harmony.
Is there harmony? Is there, and are you aware of your shadow as much as you are aware of your light?
Yeah.
All these things. So he had a whole series of questions for us to sort of sit with and write some stuff about on the first night before we got here to Egypt even.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, take a new paper, write out your birth chart,
Oh.
like your natal chart.
Yeah.
And whether you know it or not by heart doesn't really matter, but, like, at least do the structure.
Yeah.
And then, like, write in whatever comes intuitively, like it can be words or like signals or all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then also write the answers to the other questions. So it's all on one paper.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like your sort of the place where you are as soon as you get to Egypt. So we all have like an sort of an energetic, a little bit of a blueprint
Like
or
a
something, an
starting
anchor.
point, or an anchor. Okay.
And then 2 days before we went into the pyramid, we went to the Valley Temple and the Sphinx.
Okay. Yeah.
Like in like late afternoon, just before sunset.
Oh.
And we got there, and Matthias also told us, like, he had on his whole journey of doing all kinds of energetic work, he had others, like, he was there for other stuff as well. So he was like, at some point I'm gonna like go there and talk in a language you don't understand, or whatever. But we're also gonna do this other thing in the temple.
It's fascinating to me because it's and it's so crazy that you just explained this, because I knew I was coming here to go on the initiatic path, and that I was going to be, holding space for these people that I had invited into this journey with me. I did not realize the initiation, like, I really just came here to meet the version of myself who was going to embody a very different type of leadership. Because I've been in this leadership role for a long time, maybe my whole life even, you might say, because part of my shadow is the one who steers the ship when nobody else will take responsibility for where we're headed, or this archetype of being like the lone wolf who is very competent and just like always gets it done. She saves the day. That is a huge shadow, actually, like this collapse into the savior of everything. And what I found and what I was met with was opportunity after opportunity to just hold my center, even if it was very quietly, so that the room, whoever was in it, whatever was happening in it, could learn to hold themselves. And that is a mirror perfectly for my journey. It was like, you will be abandoned, you will be betrayed, you will be all of these things until you learn to hold yourself, and then Yeah, to like bring love and compassion to the parts of yourself that wants to give your power away. But it was shown to me through like these very I couldn't have dreamed it up if I tried. And again, I just, maybe we don't have to fix it. Like, can I be with this discomfort? And the truth is, I get to choose how I engage with it, which is sort of like the larger control systems that we see in the world. It's like, I can't stop biometric screenings. I can't stop digital IDs. Like, can't stop, maybe, but I can choose how I interact with them. I can choose how I move through the system and be in it, but not of it. And where can I choose integrity in that system, and how can I withhold that frequency? It was a really fun challenge to witness myself and my old sort of, like this old part of me, because it didn't even seem appealing. Like I was like, oh, I can't, that is what I would have done, but that I can't even try and put that old sweater on right now. It's like, this jacket is so tight, I gotta get it off. It was fascinating to witness that. And maybe that's part of the illusion, fantasy, reality thing that we're kind of talking about before with dreams and stuff. It's like, we think we know how it's going to show up, but maybe it looks like, witnessing two people work out, a lot of their own relational issues or something, and learning from someone else's process, or experiencing like a chaos moment and witnessing how the order and the chaos fuel one another, and finding our center in that,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Super crazy.
So like we went to the Valley Temple, and with that, let's say the paper with our imprint in it, and we did a meditation, or like a practice, where you're opposite to each other on both sides of like an arch.
Okay.
So you're sort of like a portal.
Yeah.
And he says like, okay, we learn to bring our to make our side blurry. So you're not looking at the tip of your toe, but almost. So if you do this now, you will see two versions of the other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in between is a space.
Yeah.
And you, while keeping the vision here, you aim to go through the space between the other two.
Oh my God.
Because you're creating polarity, you're creating two versions, duality.
Yeah.
And you're going in between to your new future.
Oh my gosh.
And he had us sit in that state for almost 2 hours. So it's super trippy. Some people saw like their own face on the other person's face.
Yeah.
Or they saw like 1,000 faces flickering, like all kinds of stuff happening. Someone saw, my girlfriend was sitting opposite to me.
Yeah.
She saw left really happy, right really sad. While I'm just sitting there being the same, right?
And not either of those things, maybe, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so it was so interesting. Like, this is like the other person is a literal mirror to you.
Literally, yeah.
And he said, like, what we're doing is in these 2 hours, we're probably doing this whole like initiation journey along like, it's not so much the portrait now, but like something that represents it was the chakras.
Yeah.
And he didn't literally mention the chakras, but he was like taking us energetically through this whole sort of movement.
Yeah.
And different people had all kinds of different experiences and insights, and then so 2 days later we went to the King's Chamber, and he told us, I think it's too much detail to go into all of like the stuff.
Yeah.
And there's another podcast that Mark did about that, like, but yeah, he told us like, I know that I will work with the energy of Hermes. And who told me a while ago that he's the god of commerce. And that's why I'm here with the Dutch people. He told me to follow the Dutch because they created commerce in our modern world.
Yes.
So it was all this interesting stuff happening. And so at some point, and he also said, I'm not being me, I'm like channeling some energy. So my voice will sound a bit different. And I've never been with someone that does that. It was quite interesting. And it was also in the dark. So it was like,
very trippy.
All of a sudden you hear a different word, or a different voice, a different tone.
You know he's there. And
you know that Matthias is sort of there, but not really.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
So interesting.
And he also said beforehand, like, he doesn't like to speak about Hermes. He said he doesn't like to speak in English. So maybe he speaks in, ancient Egyptian or modern Egyptian or whatever, and I will try to translate later.
Okay.
but he did speak English. He
Yeah.
started speaking English. And there was lots of things, but one of the main things that came up for me was, he said, you have to learn to release the poison of the mind. He said, all is mind. Of course, Hermetism that's the first rule, I think. All is mind.
Hermetic
Hermetic
philosophy.
principles.
Yeah.
That all is mind, and the biggest poison of the mind is confusion.
Oh.
And that really hit me, because I'm like, oh yeah, I've always known.
Truly.
Every single moment where I'm like on the fence.
Yeah. No, we've
Oh yeah,
always
I
known.
know. But then it's like my brain takes over, the thinking takes over, and it's like, yeah, I know that feels really good. It makes a lot of sense, but it's not safe. Or like, what would that person think? Or there's all these,
Your
programs
nervous
that are coming
system
up.
kicks
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
and it's like exactly that. The guidance is never the issue. We get it. It's never the problem. You always hear it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was that, and then also like he instructed us to hum, to keep a certain frequency, keep a tone, and if we felt like it, we could do like use all the vowels to sing.
Yeah.
So not like words, but like
Right. Sounds of the universe. Yeah.
And it was like there was some angelic voices in the
I
room.
bet.
I couldn't keep my eyes dry for a few minutes.
I
It was
bet.
so like, are we dreaming? Where are we?
Yeah.
And it was completely black. And at some point I looked up, and it was like there was like stars everywhere, like the roof opened up. And then afterwards there was like at least 4 people that I talked to that experienced the
Same
same.
thing.
So it's really creepy.
That's
Like,
so
did we have a
trippy.
collective dream? Was this like, what was going on?
But the power there in the collective, it amplifies. Yes.
It's such a resonance room. You just, when everyone was, because in the beginning we were a little bit like that, and he said, you've been playing with sound.
Yeah.
Now you listen. You go back and you listen. So you tune into each other.
Yeah.
And you go with waves together.
Right.
Felt like we were lifting off.
I mean, I think that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Truly, like blasting into another dimension. That's kind of the point, I think, right? Like if you can tap in, you're going to hop into those other timelines, dimensions, whatever language feels good or resonant. Yeah, I mean, that's really, I think, what it is. This is related, unrelated. I did a meditation years and years ago, before I even really like understood meditation or anything like that. It was a death meditation. It just sounded cool. And you're supposed to do it with a partner, but I didn't have one, so I just used a mirror. And it was like me and a candle in this mirror, and it sounds a lot like what you experienced with this dual, focusing in another spot. Because I saw faces, I still remember them, like years later, that I cannot even wipe from my mind. One was like a cat, a human sort of thing,
Right.
and it lionced. I don't even know how to describe what this face. I could try and draw it. I would never do it justice. And there was like this old person, and there was like all these different faces that I still have in my mind, but it's like just so powerful. Like, what is that? Our brain, the mechanism, you know what I mean? Like, wow, it's crazy. Yeah, like these little tricks that we can do, and yeah, interesting to think about. I'm gonna look into that. We don't really know much about our brains, do we? Like, not
I don't know.
like why that happens.
Not really.
Why,
I mean,
what we're tapping into, or what we're really,
Right.
how that's, the mechanism.
we know it's, I guess, I don't know if this is majority, but like I know enough people that, have believed that it's a receiver. It's not
Right.
the storage of consciousness. I don't know where I heard this.
Well-
I heard this crazy thing about like people having like serious accidents, and like parts of their brain would be like, have to be taken out.
Yeah.
And like, it's like up to like something like, I don't know, 70% being taken away. It would be like really debilitating to the person. Like you would get into a wheelchair,
But
like
there's
not be able
one
to speak.
part,
And then
yes.
at some point, there would be almost only liquid in the skull, and someone will be brilliant. I have to look this up. Where
Water,
this came from.
yes. Well, like, that
So
goes back to the
interesting.
conversation about water and consciousness, and how water's kind of the consciousness of the earth. And like, I think Veda Austin, or maybe it was the telepathy tapes. I can't remember their names. They're working on some stuff.
Yeah.
Water on the brain, and these like autistic, handicapped, not handicapped at all sort of things, and what these individuals are able to tap into, but maybe not communicate fully. Like, interesting that you're saying that. Yeah, there's a really big conversation. We'll have to look that up.
Really,
'Cause
really
it's really
fascinating to
cool.
me.
Yeah.
Earlier we talked about this control systems and, whatever you want to call it, like you posted something a while ago, like everyone's thinking about like this digital ID stuff and all that, but at the same time, hey, a border is a control system, like a
Money is a
currency is a
control.
control system,
Yeah.
like, so like you've been living in it for a long time. And you
Yeah.
said like something like no one alive has ever experienced real freedom.
Well, I wonder if we've.
I wonder if.
Yeah, because I mean, I would never assume what other people have.
Right.
Really.
So what do you think true freedom looks like, feels like?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, man, I think about this a lot. To me, what works for me in this moment, it might evolve, obviously. It's knowing and navigating my internal landscape skillfully, as honestly as I can, so that nothing in the outer is going to impact it. I think that's freedom to me because, I mean, digital IDs, weather events, control systems, like no matter what way you spin it, like I can't control everything out here, but I can control in here. I'm aware of what's going on in here, and I can work with whatever's going on in here. And so running away from the things that I've labeled in the external or trying to change anything in the external doesn't feel like freedom to me, no matter what that looks like. And so I think that's why it can be so triggering, like we were mentioning, when I up and leave somewhere, just because it does seem to others like at the drop of a hat or completely whimsical fairyland type thing. Like I don't slip into that because of that devotional piece and that trust piece. Like I know what alignment feels like in my body. My body's talking to me 100% of the time. It is a constant feedback system. And so how do I create the environment? And I use Jesus as a metaphor all the time. Big fan of that energy. Jesus, that guy, whatever you call him, them, whatever it is. But it's like, I have this image in my mind of like him on this cross and he's just smiling down at the Roman soldiers because he knows the game. It's kind of like what you described with that path that Matthias is, you go on one side and the other side, you die, and then you're reborn. What is death? Really, and maybe it's the biggest lie we've been sold. Maybe that's one of the control systems as well, or part of the control system. Time is a control system. If you think about it, we invented it. We made it up. The frogs, the deer, the giraffes do not know what time it is or what day of the week it is. They don't even care. There is natural systems and cycles, and that divine matrix to me, seasons, moon cycles, like those things make sense and they're not confused. Time is pretty confusing. Time zones, that is, you know what I mean? Like, again.
Some places it's an hour, then it's half
Yes.
an hour, then it's 3 hours, and like, yeah.
Some people are in like a totally different year than we are right now because of the way they've counted it. It's like, this is outrageous. The fact that we've made it up and it rules us. We are worshiping these control systems unknowingly because we think we have to in order to exist in this physical realm, but we don't. There's a whole other way to play the game. And that's what I'm interested in, is like, how do we play this game differently? How do I kind of make it like fun to engage with those systems, like the temples, like this sacred place that you used to have to go swim with the crocodiles and do the initiations and whatever the heck the other things are to get inside of. But now it's like you can pay somebody off and and know the right people and can I respect and honor that evolution and that system that's been created and engage with it from a place of integrity. And that to me is freedom. And not judging it and not trying to fix it or change it, because it goes back to that leadership thing that we're discussing. Like, I am a temple. I am a pyramid. My body is that already, that exists. How can I be a tuning fork for whatever is in front of me so we can attune to the frequency that I'm anchored into, right? We're all doing that unconsciously or otherwise all the time, I think. So if I'm conscious, I'm going to try and choose love or whatever feels the best in my body, even if it's hard, even if it's painful. How can I bring more of that into that moment? Because that feels like freedom to me. Yeah, I think about it all the time because I don't think that anyone alive has experienced like the totality of what freedom is. I could be wrong. I hope I am. But it's because we've not seen it. We just don't know. And when, you know, like we've been talking about, you know, we create based on our thoughts and our beliefs, you know, what we believe to be true. And so I think we've recreated unconsciously a lot of systems of oppression, whether we meant to or not. You know, it's like the story is old as time. Lower class gets a little power from the upper class, and then they recreate the same thing in a different flavor or a different costume, because it's not, we haven't metabolized the emotions that are so deeply in our cells on a cellular level. And that's why it's the spiral. And that's why I'm going to talk about when I have a pain flare, and I'm going to admit to it, to the world. It doesn't make me look weak, and it doesn't make me look stupid or not evolved. Like, it's a lesson, an initiation, you know?
Yeah, and admitting to our mistakes, or admitting to like, hey, I'm sorry, like I hurt you, and this is what happened, and this is why it happened, and stuff like that.
Responsibility,
Like,
radical responsibility with ourselves and other people, how we engage, because again, it's all a mirror, right? Can you live from that level? Because that's terrifying to a lot of people. I use this example all the time. Like, what if there was a glitch on Instagram tomorrow and suddenly all of your DMs are public? Like, there's a button, you can go to anyone's profile and read all of their direct messages. Like, pretend that has just happened. What's happening in your body? Are you panicked? Are you like, oh my God, like my ex-boyfriend's gonna read my messages, or I was cheating and I gossiped, and that, you know, like if that's panicking in your body, like the gap to me is showing you how far out of integrity you are with truth. And it's not a problem. It's a survival, you know what I mean? Like, you're not wrong or bad for not being in alignment, I don't think. We all mask for survival, for protection of whatever it is. We all think we're doing the right thing. We're doing the best we can. But as soon as it comes into our awareness, you know, it's like you can't ignore it anymore. And so, yeah, how do we shorten the gap? Because I think we're just going to keep getting more and more exposure to all the places where we give our power away over and over again. And we just didn't have the awareness before. We couldn't see the totality of the arc, you know. We didn't see that it was maybe not two animals on the boat. Like, maybe it really was, but maybe also it was like a metaphor and a symbol. And there was other stuff going on at the time that made more sense.
Just like Jesus and the Three Kings is like the three stars on the belt of Orion, all that kind of stuff.
All of these things, these connections that just happen to come into our awareness, and the math with the pyramids, just to begin, like the synchronicity of the speed of light and the coordinates being the same, and you're like the circumference of the earth, and there's all these numbers at play, and you're like, wait a minute, like this is an accident? This is a coincidence? You've got to be out of your mind, you know? But yeah, like freedom is a big conversation. It's something I think about a lot, because it's like my value, my core value. It's because to me it's love. It's like if you love someone truly, truly, you set them free. I know that's just so cliche, but we don't do that. Like, we're not programmed to do that. We're programmed to unconsciously control and manipulate to get our needs met because we can't meet them ourselves. But that radical responsibility, being the tuning fork, you know, it's really, that's freedom to me.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe we shouldn't call it a goal, but for the sake of the question, do you think the goal is to be free, or to feel free, or to feel peaceful?
Ooh. I think, I don't know, those things feel very similar to me. Because I think you can experience peace in a lot of circumstances, and freedom as well. And it's like we were talking about, you know, with all the suffering in the world and the pain that we experience, it's like, that's like Jedi, you know, master level stuff. Like, can you find peace? Like, you ask for peace, you know, maybe it's so chaotic and crazy, and so you say, God, please give me peace. And then you're met with more chaos. It's like, well, yeah, there's your opportunity to embody it and to really anchor into peace, because you are the co-creator. You are creating your experience, and it's a choice. And so, yeah, goal, yeah, that does make it harder to limit. Language feels so limiting sometimes. Yes, no,
right.
But it's like, I can embody that any moment. It's my choice, no matter what's happening around me. I am challenged often about, you know, like with doing that, and I think that's the game that we're playing. But also, it's a reflection of our internal state. And so when I feel at peace, I noticed this actually like with my dog. It's like a strange example, but I noticed like the more I worked on myself, I got him at a time where I didn't have anywhere to put my love. I had a lot of love and I wasn't ready to give it to myself, I don't think. And there was no one around me that would receive it. And so I got this dog and I poured everything I had into this dog. And so our relationship became quite codependent. And it was beautiful and necessary and helpful to get me out of the environment I was in at the time. It was quite dangerous. But then there was this like, like this codependence. It didn't fit. We were in a different environment anymore. It wasn't necessary for us to be attached to the hip and him protecting me all the time and that sort of thing. And so the more I worked on myself and withdrew my energy and called my own power back to me and didn't rely on this innocent angelic creature to emotionally get me through the day, I noticed behaviors shifting in him and the way he interacted with the world and his confidence changing. Again, the pattern recognition of like, what would shift if I chose something different than what I've thought was possible. And I thought of this earlier too when you were saying something like, it probably gets boring, you know, if we've got this infinite reincarnation thing going on and it's all us and we're operating from this unity thing. It's like, I use the prairie dog example all the time. Like if you come infinite prairie dog lives and you die of the prairie dog plague every time, or I don't know, some other prairie dog.
Video games where you have God mode.
Exactly.
Like when you
get
would
the
play
cheat
even The
codes.
Sims. Like
Right.
if you could buy all the houses you want, you're
Yes.
You know.
Like it gets boring. Exactly. And so at some point you're probably like, I'm going to launch myself into a moving vehicle. That's how I want to die this time as a prairie dog. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was a choice on a soul level. I don't get to know that. I don't know. But it's fun to play with. You know, like maybe I chose to come here and to experience it this way because we are free, ultimately. Like the truth is that we are free and there's no resistance outside of wherever consciousness is when it's not in a human body.
Yeah.
And that lack of resistance, you can't learn and grow the same way. You don't evolve the same way, you know? And so it's not good or bad, or it's just different. And yeah, I mean, I think about that even with like pizza. Like when I'm not in a human body, I probably don't eat things that become my body. And that's a really cool concept. So I'm going to eat the things that nourish me and make me feel good, but also make me really happy.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, you can apply it to all sorts of aspects of life.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking about this. I saw this meme a while ago of like, where you see this like classic, like, meditation position.
Yeah.
And there's like all this, like this beautiful nature around. And it's like, this is not peace. And underneath you see fire from hell and you see the same person.
Yes.
This is peace.
This is
being able to be present with anything.
Yes. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're still dependent on the external and you're never going to be peaceful.
And it's that victim, villain, savior complex triangle. It's like projecting and waiting for someone to come save you. And it's not, like there was a deconditioning process for me that had to happen because I thought that meant I had to be the man for myself, you know, like I had to like masculine my way through life. And that's actually what lends me on the floor most of the time is when I'm trying to like, force and control my way into.
So does it, I don't know, does it make sense if I say this, where to me it feels like you have pain in your female organs.
Yeah.
So had it to do something with not embodying femininity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, or denying it or rejecting it or operating, I think, from distortion. And that's why truth, I think, is so important to me because I was raised around a lot of addiction and just shadows and hiding things, religion, a lot of just control. And so anytime someone's masking in front of me, I like spot it immediately. And it's because I got really good at masking. I had to pretend like everything was okay or I wasn't in pain because I don't know if I would have survived had I not done that. And that's not feminine expression, like literal Shakti energy is like the fire and the chaos. It's the most powerful energy on the planet. It's creation energy. Grow a life in your body. What?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there's a soul, and like, how does that work?
Magic. And I've been playing with this whole like Egypt versus physics sort of, this is like a thread I'm going to pull on a little bit, because Egypt to me feels like quantum, and the West, or just society at large, feels very Newtonian physics, you know what I mean? And so it's like, that's why everything's just so in your face here, and you can't deny it. Like, everything is resonance and symbology and frequency. It's like the death and the rebirth thing. Like, all of the temples for the living are on this side of the bank of the Nile, and the dead are on the other side. That wasn't accidental. And even the location of the pyramids, you know what I mean? We're tuning the amount of this unseen spiritual energy. We're like titrating it into the physical. We can use these tools, basically. And it's not just the pyramids and the temples, it's the Stonehenge in England. It's all these other places that were rocks in the ground. They knew how to, work with these ley lines and the water. And my point is just, it's all connected. And anytime we dampen or deny or reject, I think that creation energy, something that wants to move through me, I think it was very often connected to my voice. If I had something to say and I didn't say it, or I couldn't say it, that energy gets trapped. It's got to go somewhere, and it's got to get felt. And I have a feeling that, I just know that it wasn't always safe for us to be psychic in the past, to know what somebody was going to do or what was coming, and to say it, because if it threatened a control system or someone in power, they might squash you. You might end up, these secret, or these you build the car that runs on the water and suddenly they're not alive anymore. Whatever the thing is, it's like maybe we have to titrate, or like, I just don't think that exists anymore. There's no room for fear. There's no room for denial of the truth. Like, we're just here to say it now. And that's where I had to remove those layers of programming and the thoughts and the beliefs, the things that were making me choose, the reality where I had to, not express myself. It's expression, I think, Yeah, because a lot of time I was like, oh, it's the mother wound, it's this, and there's so many of those factors that play into, it's nuanced, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it comes down to leaky Shakti energy and like giving your power away to anything outside of yourself, because that's not really love.
Talk about like unmasking your view of the world, unmasking yourself. Do you know what the ancient Greek word of mask is?
I don't, but I already love this. What is it?
Persona.
I have necropolis. Polis meant city. The polis was where people came together to be visible. It wasn't just like a place, of physical existence, City of the dead. Polis is the city. Have we created a polis, or does this feel more like a necropolis most of the time? Like, I'm going into these temples, and that's what I've been playing with, this idea. Persona, masks, there's just, politics has become synonymous with, parties and lawmaking and all of these things, right? But I think it was actually about the opposite. It was about not performing. It was about coming in to be seen, right? The polis. And politics, I think, has evolved from that, right?
Yeah.
And it's just really remarkable to me, the etymology, like you're bringing up, persona meant mask. That fits right in with this distortion and the perversion of
playing a personality instead of being yourself.
Exactly, and like what the freedom that is found in the truth. And I think anytime that we allow ourselves to show up messy, human, admit our mistakes, make the mistakes, my goodness, just let yourself the freedom in that, is really, you're reshaping the polis. That's what's actually going to change the world, not protesting in the street. We've been poisoning nature for a really long time and taking away their habitats, and I've never seen a hippopotamus on the side of the lake, with a picket fence, or a pitchfork, screaming about whatever it is that we've done, and, the birds and the tree, all these things. It's like you adapt, you change, and you choose, like, truth. And sometimes, I don't know. Interesting. I love that. Oh, that's a whole new thread I'm going to add into that whole little thing. Yeah.
I was also thinking about, like, because I feel like a lot of people, like, we talked a lot about like taking our power back, giving away power. And like, I think a lot of us interpret power as control.
Oh, right. Well, that's why we're conditioned. Yeah.
And like a few weeks ago, we did like a week of shamanistic training or like teachings from like someone that's been doing it for 30 years. And he says in shamanism, power is awareness.
That's why shamans, it took their whole lives to become a shaman. Like, yeah.
It's just like, that's your true power.
Truly.
Just being with it.
Yeah. To see it and not look away. Yeah.
What's the favorite thing that you, how do I say? Like, I love this whole concept of unlearning, right? And I feel like that's why I called this podcast like Spirit Unfolding, because we're constantly taking away layers
Totally.
to get to the core.
I love that. Yeah.
What's like your favorite layer or jacket to have taken off?
I think it might be this layer that I feel like I've finally shed, because I feel like it's all the same layer on some level. It just looks a little different. And yeah, who's to say, but I feel like this feels like a true punctuation mark, because it's been, in hindsight, slowly happening for years, this stepping out of the archetype of being the competent one, the one that has it all together, the one that has all the answers, who knows it all, and therefore, like in my own life and the world, and taking care of everyone else. Because now I see the power in taking care of myself first, and how much deeper I can go with others and care for others from a truly genuine place when I am operating from like a full cup. And to be the empty vessel for spirit to move through me, this stripping down. I mean, everything I own fits in a suitcase. I don't have a storage unit or a thing at a friend's house. Like, literally, one suitcase is everything I own in the whole world. And so I'm not attached. I think maybe it does feel intimidating for other people, and it's something I just don't think about. I forget often. It's like, because my friends used to joke all the way back in college, they'd say Erin's level of detachment is her superpower. It's like, I've never been attached to anything. Well, that might get taken away. The world could blow up tomorrow. I don't know, we'll deal with it. It's kind of always been my way I orient to reality. But I think letting myself show up messy and not have the words, like in the past, a conversation like this, I might have felt like I needed to prepare or like do something to be here or worthy. But that's actually when I find myself tripping up. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like what we were talking about, it's never what we expect. You know, it's like, how can I be most present? Well, I just have to embody it. And I am aware of myself in this moment. I'm aware of my body and our surroundings, and I'm here. And whatever is going to move through me is exactly what whoever's listening to this right now needs to hear or wants to hear, or is going to connect the dots, because that's what's been happening for me. And as I've been watching all of these other beautiful teachers, because like, what's the greatest spiritual teacher? It's not the guy in the robes. It's the person that annoys you. It's that asshole in traffic. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not what we, like our minds have been conditioned to believe, Yeah, so I think, this trip to Egypt has been a really beautiful, just, it's an ending and a beginning all in one. And I knew that, the 1111 portal, like all these things, these energies, it feels like I've allowed myself to step into a different type of leadership. Again, allowing myself to be the tuning fork, giving myself permission to not have to hold it all together for everyone else, and instead just hold the frequency while everyone else finds their own power, because I don't have the answers. I can't know, and that feels very freeing. Yeah.
To be with not knowing is probably the biggest freedom.
Yeah, and it was a lesson I learned not through, it wasn't harsh. It didn't feel like this harsh lesson. A lot of the lessons that I've received until now have felt really harsh, heartbreak, and that type of pain. Things that I don't think I deserved, but when you keep digging into that, it's like, well, who deserves whatever, It's not about deserving.
You created it.
Right, and it was a choice, and the responsibility, the more radical responsibility I take for myself, the more freedom I tend to experience. So it's like, it's mine, it's always mine. Yeah, it's really beautiful. That's a beautiful question, actually. I'll have to think about that some more, too.
there's one, okay, your own podcast is called Metaphysical Gravity.
Yeah.
What is metaphysical gravity?
What is it? It's love.
Hmm.
It's love. Buckminster Fuller coined that term. And I stumbled on him because I worked very closely with submarines for a long time when I was, I worked on the DoD side of things, and then I was doing some civilian stuff with the Navy. And I read Spaceship Earth and a couple of other Bucky books, and I loved his story. I connect so deeply with him as a thinker. Do you know him or any of his work?
Not really.
Okay.
But you're not the first person to tell me, so it's time I dive into it.
Yeah, I think so. His story's kind of remarkable, and maybe it's a bit sensationalized, we don't know, but I love it so much because, I mean, according to him, he was kind of like a screw-up until his 30s. And he had, I think it was the death of his daughter, one of his daughters. And I think he was about to give up. He was like a shoe salesman and like working for his wife's father. I don't know. He was going to kill himself. He was like taking himself out to drown himself, I think is the story. And this ocean liner was going by, and he was thinking about the propeller on the back and how there's this tiny piece of plastic called a trim tab on there, and that's actually what like steers the whole ship, because it's the tiny piece of plastic that then engages the larger mechanism and like turns this massive ocean liner. And he had this realization. He thought, what if it was just one person that is all that it took to, you know, right the ship, and that's what set him on this path of exploring all kinds of beautiful things and concepts, and like all the geometry and the math. He was the inventor of the geodesic dome and these shapes and the sacred geometry, all these things. And I was just so taken with his concept of making old systems obsolete. We don't have to fight them. We don't have to, you know, come at it. And again, I think it's because I understand energy so intimately. It's like war plus war has never equaled peace. That's why we keep recreating the problems, because we're not facing the root of what's really going on, the energetic imprint of why that's manifesting in the physical to begin with. And the whole thing, the glue that holds this whole energetic realm together is metaphysical gravity. It's love. Whether it looks crunchy and slimy and sloppy or whatever it is, maybe it feels gooey and it's sunshine and rainbows, like it doesn't matter. All of it to me is love, and it might show up in very unassuming or harsh ways, but all of it comes back to love. And so, yeah, the whole intention of calling it that was just so that I could create a safe container. Safe meaning we can talk about anything, no matter how edgy, no matter how controversial, no matter how out there it is, and we can make space for it in our worldview and own our triggers and own what comes up in that process, and name it as love, you know, do it from anchored in love. And so, yeah, we can like expand our awareness, right? Like become the shaman. You know, I view consciousness sometimes as like this house. It's like we start maybe with 3 windows, and we've got 3 views from which we can orient ourselves and like peek out to reality. And then maybe someone comes and knocks on the door, and we didn't even know there was a door there, and so we open the door, and now we have another, you know, window to peer out of our home. Or maybe there's a big hurricane that comes and it blows the roof off, and now we've got another view. You know, it's like expansion constantly. And it's like just all of it is like, is there a ceiling on love? No, it's infinite, right? I mean, there might be a floor. Sometimes I think about that. Like, there's probably a floor. Like, there's some.
Yes, you can definitely feel unloved, but are you actually unloved?
Exactly.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Was that
And
the
so,
thing you needed to
yeah.
come back to self-love or
Yeah,
whatever?
I used to joke that there was a floor. You know, if someone's hurting me and I'm setting a boundary, it's like, well, we've hit the floor. So this is, we're walking away from this from love, but this is the floor, but there's no ceiling. I'm going to figure out, you know, let's just see how high we can fly. Yeah.
It's like, you know, metaphysical, like beyond the physical.
Yeah.
It also makes me think of, I feel like, you know, the way that all of us can transcend the rules of the physical is through love. Like through love we can time travel.
Time travel, you can, oh my gosh.
Like you
Superpower.
think about something in the past because you love the person that's maybe gone, and you're with them right away.
Yes. And it's real. Our brains don't know the difference between real and imagined. And so, yeah, like experiencing that in the physical, the beyond the physical, the metaphysical. Yes. And the gravity piece is important to me too, because it's really important for me to keep my feet on the ground, like in reality. Because for so long, part of my shadow was like being off in the clouds and like living in this illusion, this fantasy, and then slamming down into reality and realizing, oh, this person isn't safe. You know, I can see the totality of them. I can see their soul and their heart and how good it is. But in reality, they are not behaving from that place and they're not acting from that place. And so there's a shadow even in the way that I operate with this whole like, it's all love and all of that. Yes, that is true. And also we came here to act out the polarity and the duality and these shadows. And so there's this level of pragmatism, I think, that I really want to bring to the spiritual spaces, especially because to me the whole human experience is spiritual. This is a spiritual experience, whether you want to admit it or not. Because I wouldn't have admitted it, ages ago.
Yes,
I was very disenchanted, a few years ago. And also because of what I encountered in the spiritual realms, like in the New Age movement, all that kind of stuff, it's like I can't fake it, for bypassing the realities of the suffering of the world and things like that. It's like that doesn't... I get a lot of comments on my social media content, actually. It's like, tell that to the people in Giza or Gaza, or, tell that to the people, here. And I would never do that. I would never talk to someone who is in survival about manifesting or
Right, of course.
anything like that, because they're in survival. Like, and that I think is the point. Like, to even make that comment, I think is... sometimes it's highlighting the lack of humanity that the people who are in survival and experiencing severe injustice, they're embodying their humanity a little bit differently than someone behind a keyboard, accusing me of not, it's a projection.
Yeah. It's like respecting the perspective of the other. Even though you don't know fully what it is, you can imagine a little bit.
Or even what I've lived and what I've journeyed through and why I'm sharing what I'm sharing. It's just so fascinating. And yeah, maybe that's like a totally different topic, but yeah, we can bring love even to those moments of being projected onto and or witnessing in the world, Yeah, the gravity of all of it. Yeah, I like the way you're playing on words here. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've done we've done over 2 hours.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for sure.
No way.
Yeah. I think
That's why everyone's
I think
outside.
almost 2.5.
What time is it?
We're not done, but
Okay.
maybe almost. I'm thinking
That's why
like,
the sun is setting.
yeah,
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, I love this conversation.
Okay, thank you. Me too.
Yeah. What do you feel like? So you just commented on one thing with the comments. What do you feel like is like a common misconception people have about, could be a common misconception about how you view the world? Like, where do you want to place nuance?
That is so good. I think it is probably the bypassing thing. That's what's coming to mind. That might not be the most true, but that's what's coming up. Because it's interesting. Honestly, it's even hard for me to go there and to like even play into that, because I operate, I think, from awareness and a level of responsibility, because I know every time I get a comment like that, it's revealing something in me. I remember this was like a couple years ago, I posted this, I made it in 15 minutes right before bed, I'll never forget, because I woke up to like so many crazy comments. I was like, whoa. It was about quantum physics, and I was basically saying, what if all of this isn't because the world is going to shit? What if it's because these Newtonian paradigms are collapsing? And if we reorient ourselves from a quantum perspective, it's like causality, this cause and effect concept really breaks down at the quantum, because like attracts like there. And so if we get really honest with ourselves about what is happening and view it from this quantum lens, maybe there's more to the story. It was essentially what I was saying. Like, we don't know if A caused B or B caused A kind of situation. And after it went like kind of viral, I noticed this theme of, it seemed like every profile I clicked on that was angry and projecting was like a man and a certain demographic of man. And I just got curious about like why I would attract that kind of energy, right, and why that would happen to me. And I think what I realized was like, it would have triggered me in the past to be like projected on that way. It would have triggered me to be told that I'm being too pie in the sky, head in the clouds, because I was always told I'm too much, but I was also feeling like I wasn't enough. Like my whole life, it was like you're too much and you're not enough at the same time. And so what do you do in those situations? I think we make ourselves small, right? And I think we can all relate to feeling that way at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just that contributed to this like inability and this fear of expressing myself. And so I was always really worried about hurting other people. And so I would talk down to the level of understanding that wouldn't hurt people. I would water myself down because I knew some people weren't going to be ready to hear what I thought or felt about something.
Maybe it's still what they needed.
Yes. And so now I'm not afraid anymore, right? I'm not going to take on the reaction in front of me. I can hold my center, and I won't collapse into another person's experience. I will hold space and feel nothing but compassion, because I've been there, you know, feeling the triggering. Because I used to think people were lying when they said they were happy. Like I didn't even know it was possible to feel like a happy family, you know, as a kid. Like I always thought they were lying. I thought, because I didn't know it existed. And so that, yeah, echoed into other parts of my life and other things for so long. It's interesting, what I just thought of was attracting energy. This pilgrimage that I just led, some people, everyone I talked to that arrived in Cairo and met me for this journey had the same story. They were like, I didn't know you before. You just popped up on my feed one day, and at the end of your video, you were like, do you want to come to Egypt with me? And something in me was like, yeah, I do. And that's how I ended up on this trip. These weren't like longtime followers or anything.
Yeah.
It was beautiful and magical and intentional on my part. I didn't do a big marketing thing. I've never hosted anything like this before, but I didn't, email and campaign. I sent 3 emails in total about this, and 14 people said yes and met me here and trusted me. And I think that that's a testament to the energetics, that again, the unseen, because I understand my own energy, and I knew what I wanted to call in and the type of people. And it's like an energy game. And I'm gonna, like, on a soul level, be like, hey guys, we're going to Egypt. Are you ready? And then spirit will guide me to do whatever needs to do for that person to hear, and they're human, to say, I'm in. Here's the money, we're going, And in that process, I had a discovery call, and I only did a couple of actual Zoom calls beforehand, before people signed up. But one was with a gentleman who I had a really interesting experience with, because his questions were interesting. He was asking basically, do you think you're going to fill it up? He was like, do you think this is actually going to happen? And I, yeah. And then I said, well, does the answer impact your decision? Like, how can I, because I immediately felt protected of the people who had already said yes. I was like, is he trying to get information? Like, what's going on here? And I said, well, why, could you just give me some more information about why that's important information for you? And again, after a little bit of talking and staying curious, I realized there was that savior sort of thing. Like when I am myself, the day before I had posted on my stories, I was really excited in my kitchen, and I was like feeling very feminine maybe in my cuteness and my aliveness. And I was like, let's go to Egypt, and like, being like very me. And therefore, then I think the next day it makes sense that I attracted this old pattern where a man's coming in thinking he needed to save me, thinking he needed to, make it right. Because at the end of the call, after a lot of awkward conversation, but me holding my center and really not collapsing into, you're right, what if people don't sign up? What if I don't get the, he ended it with, well, if it comes down to it and you need somebody at the last minute, you give me a call and you let me know. And then I blocked him on every single platform I could block him on, but only because I'm not available for that type of exchange. I'm not available for that anymore. And maybe that's the right answer, maybe it's wrong, I don't know, but that's what felt resonant and aligned for me in that moment, and protective for myself. Because I wanted to set a clear message to the universe, like, we are not entertaining this anymore. Like, that won't be this trip. And it just, I think, again, it's like what people don't understand. People are projecting constantly. I can't control people's projections, but I can control here inside, and how honest I'm being with myself. And that means I'm going to be able to handle whatever people are going to throw at me. I think about that a lot with famous people. You know what I mean? Like being famous, I think, is a tool. It's like a way to influence others. Like, I'd love to, like,
Right.
you know,
Trying
like,
to get some stuff more stuff done.
yeah, like I've never had like a desire to be famous. I don't want that. But like, how cool would it be if conscious people like had the resource of fame?
It's gonna come.
Yeah,
It's starting to happen.
I think
There's
the
a few out
future
there.
celebrities, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, are the ones that are the authentic,
The ones that are actually empowering you are way more
embodying
interesting than the ones that are literally acting a
truly
version
the
of what you like
persona.
to do, but they're not teaching you how to do it yourself.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah, that's a
all
really
the
fun
nerves.
conversation to think about. Yeah, because I look at some of them sometimes and I'm like, they're lying. Like, that person, they're in a relationship, but I don't even think that they like men or women or whoever they're with. And, you know, I think about that stuff. I'm like, I know better. Like, I know they're lying. And it's all a show and a scam. And then when you really start to zoom out at the symbolism, I remember this one time, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift went on a date at the zoo in Sydney. And I thought, that is a hilarious metaphor. Like, they are the zoo animals in a way, and we're
Right,
watching them in the zoo on a date. And you know what I mean? Like the symbolism, like it's just, there's no accidents. It's always fascinating, like the way it all plays out. And yeah, like, you know, because you don't know, they are human beings, and how they are using that resource is so beautiful to see sometimes, sometimes tragically beautiful. And yeah, again, the awareness that we lack or we don't, and yeah, projecting onto these energies and learning about ourselves is like a big fun game.
Yeah.
What a playground. Yeah, we live in like a playground.
What is like in this whole game, in the way that you've played the game in the last years, what was one of the biggest surprises?
The first thing that popped in my head was like how powerful I am. Like how truly remarkably powerful I am, and therefore each one of us, I think, is like, we have been really conditioned to think that, you know, the past is set in stone and it's what happened, and the future is completely blank slate and it's unwritten, and have at it and your dreams of the world. But also, you know, you evolved from a monkey, and so
It's not going to be much better than
that's
that.
right, you know, so like good luck, and that kind of, you know what I mean, like that's like the first thing.
Well, that's
But
a rabbit. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
no, please.
That's a rabbit hole. Did we evolve from monkeys?
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, well, maybe all of it's a lie, and even the past is not fixed. Like, even that is like the
100%.
future,
I thought
flexible.
about this.
Yeah.
So we're talking about love and like using love as time travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with like inner child work,
Yes.
I've experienced a lot where you can like go back.
Rewrite the memories.
You can rewrite the memories. You can go like if there's, okay, so let's say you've discovered in yourself the pattern.
Yes.
That every time someone says a certain thing to you, you feel like you want to do this.
Right.
What happens is your inner child has experienced something similar, and you start to embody your hurt inner child.
Yes.
So as soon as you realize this, you can like zoom out a little bit, look at that from the perspective of the grown adult,
Yeah.
and give the inner child what it needs. By doing that, you go back in time to the moment that the original pain happened,
Yes.
and you give yourself that love, right? Now, an idea I recently had was we all have, or some of us have, these experiences of, you know, we're being guided. And sometimes it's like an idea, sometimes it's literally you hear someone talking to you, or it's like you sort of like in a dream, you see like some entity around you.
Yeah.
Called it your guides.
Right.
Is it not just you from the future?
Hello? Who pulled Erin off the bathroom floor over and over again? Like, I don't know who else it could have been, but not future, because I remember those memories now. I'll be sitting on the bus, staring out the window, and I'm thinking about that random time that I was passing out, and I send love to her in those moments, and I think it clicked for me, just like you're saying, like, that is me now going back to pull her off, right? Or just whisper, hang on a little longer.
Yeah.
You're going to get through this. Yeah.
It's like when I feel like I'm at a threshold, for example, and I'm like, this is going to be scary and I want to do it, but I'm not sure I can. And then there's like all of a sudden this like, you know, inspiration or whatever. And it's like, because in one reality, you chose the way of being scared, and you had it was a lot harder road to get to where you want to
Yes.
be. And the future you is like, hey dude, we're not doing that again.
Right.
We're choosing here, we're choosing a different way.
Yes. Or ask, like you can literally tap into it and visualize, okay, what does the version of Lars who's already done this, who's like, this is piece of cake for him now. Like, dude, tell me how we get through it. Like, guide me. And you might not get 15 steps that's going to get you, because honestly, if you knew what steps like 6 and 7 were, you probably wouldn't even start with step 1. Do you know what I mean? That's how
Right,
I feel.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, if I knew what I was getting myself into when I wanted to create this in my reality, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, no, I'm not for me, kind of thing. So thank goodness we only get what we need when we need it, right on time, even if it's really frustrating and we think it should be here now or whatever. But what you're describing, yeah, the neuroplasticity conversation is like massive, because I don't know how else I'd be here if it weren't for that. I started doing these meditations, and like you, I would go back and you bring love to it, but sometimes it looked like having to reimagine a memory with different parents. I would use Woody Harrelson as my dad all the time, because he was like a safe masculine presence. I love like a lot of characters he's played and his energy in general, and so like I would always reimagine like a Woody Harrelson or like Cher as my mom, like somebody really empowered, and then I would evolve and I would be able to revisit the memory, sometime later, and maybe I was there and I could go in and I could save little Erin, or I could stick up for her, and then eventually it got to the point where like Erin then could behave differently. And it was literally, our brains don't know the difference. And so even though we can't change the past, like that thing happened and it's valid and it hurt and all of that, but also we can work through, I think, those grooves that are so deeply entrenched in our minds of, like you're describing, someone I love very much and I were just talking about, being in your 40s and, presenting to the marketing firm or whatever your idea, and suddenly your hands are sweaty and you're freaking out and you can barely get through the words, and it's because actually your nervous system is bringing forward the 6-year-old version of you who's on stage at school, and she's the witch in Snow White and she does this cackle laugh and the whole audience erupts in laughter, and it's like that has now imprinted in your nervous system. And so you're not 40 years old presenting to the marketing firm about something you know inside and out. You're suddenly 6 years old and everyone's laughing at you. And it's our nervous system is a portal to God. Like truly, I don't see it any other way. It's like, because there would be things that happened in my life and I'd be like, I am not behaving like a 30-year-old woman right now. This is insane. I don't know what's going on, but I'm collapsing as if I'm a little girl. What is this? And that's, you have to at some point realize again, oh, it's the responsibility. Like I have to love on this version of myself that nobody showed up for, who didn't have the tools or the support to really create the safety for herself. And that's why safety is so important to me, because it doesn't look the way I think people think safety is like cushy and not feeling triggered and peace. And it's like, no, safety is just truth, like being allowed to be whatever you are, kind of like you're saying. But yeah, so cool.
Wow.
Wow.
With the casual pyramid in the background. I love it. It's been so fun how this all came together. It's all like so natural.
Incredible. Yeah.
Synchronicities lead the way.
Just so full. Yeah, so amazing. What pyramid is this?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry. Cut that out, please. Sorry.
Thinking about going there for sunset, actually.
Have you been yet?
Because some of our group has, and like the gate to get there is like literally 100 meters away, and there's guards that can take you. I think even on horses. So that was the idea, to do some of that.
But we've now talked for 3 hours.
That's all right. It's still in time, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think like obviously all that you're doing is coming up. We'll share in the show notes.
Yeah.
For people to dive further into and get into contact with you, look at your stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you talked about this big project you're working on. You didn't say more than that. Can you say more? What is it?
I can, yeah. I'll say a little bit more because it's so close to my heart. I'm so excited. It's a culmination of, I think, like this lifelong obsession with self-awareness. And over the last few years, it's emerged working with clients and seeing my own progress and my own evolution. It's a way to engage with reality as a mirror, because I'm constantly saying reality is a mirror. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. So it's the mirror method, and it's a process that it started and has evolved, but a way to really get honest with ourselves about the mirrors and our triggers and reorient to reality in a new way. I'm really excited about it, and yeah, like to see through distortion clearer. Because I think that's part of what is going to get trickier and trickier. The AI, the technology, it's harder and harder to discern what is real and what is fake and what is in alignment for us, because that doesn't even really matter. You know, fake, what does that mean? But yeah, knowing what's in alignment for you and when, because it's so nuanced and it's so individual. And yeah, like I think the more we can know ourselves and operate from truth and from a place of love, I think the way, you know, the more we will hop onto that collective timeline where we don't evolve through genocide and all of these other suffering, you know, like what, that's my dream, is to raise the humanity, the consciousness of humanity to, and I hate even using raise or higher, like that language is hierarchical to me and I don't like that. To me it's like a flat plane, but to expand into, yeah, like a greater awareness.
I see more of, let's say, the light's frequency or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like bring more of that darkness into the light, love it into the light, and allow it to exist and transmute it, alchemize it into something maybe that the world has never seen, you know, blow our minds, blow my mind. I would love that. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as the final question, if you could, like, I don't know, whisper something to the audience, like one final note, what would that be?
What popped in my head, and I think it's just because it's been so on my mind this last month, these 3 weeks in Egypt, it's because of that initiation I experienced that second day that I got here. It's the reminder that power doesn't come from control and manipulation, unconscious or otherwise, and we can use our bodies as an oracle. Like our body is the oracle. You can trust your body, you can trust the unseen before you have physical evidence. You can move from emotion. You can move from, yeah, the unseen, and you can operate from that place. Yeah, especially if you are aware of what's going on in here. If you know your shadows, you know all those rocks, and you've turned over every stone, it becomes a really fun game. I think that that's what I would whisper, is you're far more powerful than you know, and you have everything you need, but not in this bypassy way of, because I would see like spiritual posts all the time, like you have everything you need is inside of you, and it's like, that doesn't feel so good because this sucks. Like this doesn't feel very good. But it's when you're connected to the divine, is like the second part of that sentence. Like if you're connected to something outside of yourself, that benevolent force that you have everything you need. And if you're really truly trusting in that every time, yeah, I think that's what I would whisper. I would whisper a lot of things, but that's it for now. I can talk a lot.
All right, amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. This is incredible.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming and for co-creating this magic.
Yes, yeah.
I'm looking forward to do this again at some point, maybe in a year or so.
Yeah,
we'll see.
check in. Yeah, or you come on Metaphysical Gravity. We'll have a different type of conversation.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
I love that.
Deal.
Yeah. And to everyone listening, watching, thanks so much for being part of this journey. I am sure if you're still here, you have learned so much from Erin, as have I, and maybe we all go back and listen again and figure out what threads we can pull on and how we can look at life differently and how we can live life from a different perspective. All the stuff, all the links for your work is in the show notes, and I just want to ask you, if you love this, please subscribe and let us know in the comments. It'd be really cool to hear, like, what did you like? What ideas did you have? Like, where were you a mirror? Where were we a mirror for something in you? And let's keep exploring together. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks so much.